Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending the Pennington County Planning Commission meeting of October 27, 2025 at 9 a.m. Recommendations of the Planning Commission on certain items from this agenda will be considered by the Board of Commissioners at their regular meeting on November 4th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. As I try to tell everybody, 10:30 a.m. is the approximate time they get to planning items. It won't mean that they're going to bring it up exactly at 10:30. The Planning Commission utilizes speaker request forms, which are available in the commission chambers in the rear. Roll call. John did tell us last meeting that he wasn't going to be here this meeting, and we've got Lori on Zoom, which does, just for the audience as well as commission, it does set up a little different situation as far as the voting. Just so you all know that anything that isn't, for starters, there's 6 of us, so we still have the 4 for the 4 to pass any action. But what happens is we'll probably have to have a roll call if there is anything but a unanimous vote on an item, just so we all remember that. Any other questions on roll call? We got it. John's gone. Lori's on Zoom. Have you all had a chance to review your agenda packets and the minutes from the October 14, 2025 meeting of the commission? If so, the chair would address a motion to approve that.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the October 14, 2025 minutes of the Pennington County Planning Commission. Discussion from the audience. From the commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Sorry, I'm a little late.
No, we understand that. We had that problem last time you were on Zoom. We'll have to account for that, Lori. It could be important today. Thank you. So you were voting in favor of approving the minutes?
Yeah, are we going to do a roll call?
We already did that. Oh, on the minutes? No, it was unanimous. If that's why I'm asking.
Yes, I voted in favor.
All right, thank you. All right, we shouldn't need to have a roll call vote then. Minutes are approved. On to the approval of the agenda packet, and as I said, I hope you all had a chance to review yours. If so, Chair would address the motion on approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda as published in our packets. Discussion from the audience, from the commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Very good. Opposed? Motion carried. On to the consent agenda. Brittany?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Hand, Planning Director. The following items have been placed on the consent agenda for action to be taken on all items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda by any Planning Commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration. The findings of this Planning Commission on certain items from this agenda are recommendations to the Pennington County Board of Commissioners, who will make the final decision. Item number 4 is conditional use permit review CUR 2320 for David and Angela Rowland to review a bed and breakfast in a rural residential district, and staff recommends approval. Item 5 is conditional use permit review COCUR 24-0005 for Dan and Joan Pomeranke to review a multifamily dwelling in an agriculture district, and staff recommends approval. Item number 6 is conditional use permit review COCUR 24-0022 for Yarrowtech LLC to review a utility-scale solar energy system in an agriculture district, and staff recommends approval. Item number 7 is conditional use permit review COCUR 24-0023 for Yarrowtech LLC to review a utility-scale wind energy system in an agriculture district, and staff recommends approval. Item number 8 is conditional use permit review COCUR 25-0004 for Tim and Tammy Starkey to review a home occupation in a suburban residential district, and staff recommends approval. Item number 9 is mining permit review, NPR 1801 for Pennington County Highway to review the mining of gravel for road maintenance, and staff recommends approval. Item number 10 is plan unit development amendment review, PUR 10-02 for Charles and Yvonne Evans to review a plan unit development to allow for 2 accessory structures without a primary structure, and staff recommends to end plan unit development amendment PUR 10-002 as it is no longer needed. Item number 11 is minor plan unit development review PUR 1606 for Tina Collins to review a home occupation, and staff recommends approval. And item number 12 is plan unit development overlay review COPUR 24-0002 for Daniel and Chandra Knoof to review the use of an agritourism in an agricultural district, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Brittany. Anything that the staff would like, or the department would like pulled?
No, not at this time.
The commission. Chair has the speaker request forms on 6 and 7, so we'll need to pull 6 and 7. Anybody got any clerical errors or things they noted in the consent agenda? We've handled the polls. How about a motion to approve with 6 and 7 pulled?
So move. Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as submitted with item number 6 and item number 7 pulled for discussion. Discussion from the audience, from the commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 And you're voting for, in favor? Lori?
Yes.
Thank you. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. On to item number 6.
So Commissioners, Mark is on Zoom, and he wants to provide an update on the Yarrow Tech. And there's also individuals in the audience that want to speak on this item as well.
All right. Mark?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Good. We're going to let you go ahead and speak. Did you have anything you wanted to do before, Brittany?
No.
All right. And then the folks that had, Kristen, I'll call you up right after Mark speaks. Thank you. We have another one on 6. Jerry. Very good. Go ahead, Mark.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and thank the commission for allowing us to give an update. We 1 day short of 1 year ago is when the conditional use permit was approved for this project, and the purpose of this discussion now is to give an update on what Yarrow Tech has been doing for the project, and also within the framework of the conditions precedent set up in the for the conditional use permit. So I've got there are slides which are there, but I can also just speak. So maybe what I'll start to do is just to speak and give you, first of all, the major highlights. Oh, okay, I see the presentation in the background there. So the first couple slides, we just always do the same thing, which is every time there's a presentation, we want to make sure there's the site plan in a couple different formats so that folks are kind of reminded, what the project looks like. And maybe the next slide is probably the one that's the most important from a discussion perspective. The two very, very big things that Yarrow Tech has been working on this year. I'm sure all of you are aware that on July 4th, the OBBB legislation was passed, which establishes lots of federal budget, policies in particular, however, there were a set of policies that have potentially greatly affected the renewable energy industry, most of which is what is I don't want to say affectionately referred to, but referred to as the ITC cliff. Investment tax credit is something that has been around for decades, and basically it's an incentive not just for solar, not just for wind, but for natural gas and lots of other technologies, energy technologies. And essentially, the way that works is once capital is spent, a project is constructed, then over a period of time, some of the construction costs can be recovered by some investment tax credits. Again, part of the federal government policy. This program has been around not only for decades but long enough that most of the industry really had this, quote unquote, baked into their processes and financial feasibility. In the big beautiful bill, there wasn't really under the Biden administration. Those were extended with the IRA budget, which was approved. Those were extended out to 2034. Under the Trump administration, when that was passed, it was not an off ramp; it was really a cliff. And it was really, in the worst case, just slightly over a year that projects had to be, constructed, or that investment tax credit would just completely go away. It's a huge impact financially. However, there are a couple different ways which are, threading a needle really when it comes to some developers and some projects to establish a safe harbor for a project. And we fortunately, with a co-developer that we're working with, we're able to safe harbor this project by investing 5% of the capital cost for equipment. And the parameters to do that are not gray, they're not fuzzy, they're extremely specific. It has to be an exact project, an exact time frame, exact equipment, and the developer has to put essentially 5% capital. They have to spend 5% capital. It's not a standby letter of credit. It's not a promise. So the way that this project was safe harbored is 5% of the solar panels, have been procured. That in rough estimates, that's about a $10 million investment. The fortunate thing, is once the project is safe harbored, then we're able to continue the development process, and really move along the same timeline that we were on before. So that is one major thing that really keeps the project in existence, and moving forward, as we've planned. And then the second thing that has required a lot of time, we were very, very close to putting the project into the interconnection application process with Southwest Power Pool, so that the 230 kV transmission line that runs north and south, and when it runs north, it connects with the New Underwood substation. That's the connection. That's the line that we're connecting to. That Western Area Power Administration line rolls up under the Southwest Power Pool, which is the regional transmission operator in 12 to 13 states, and they're the ones that regulate interconnection, all of the major physical, interconnection and transmission on the grid in that area of the United States. We were ready to pull the trigger on that in March. Everything was all set to go. but the one issue that we ran into is Southwest Power Pool requires a 125-foot wide easement. The line that connects the power generation, the project, to the transmission line, that goes, just due west, just an absolute straight line along a section line, which fortunately, there's an ordinance and a regulatory process set up by the Pennington County Highway Department, and we fortunately, because of Brittany and Jason who direct us, we had been in touch with the correct people, and what they told us was they didn't grant the right of way permit prior to the conditional use permit, but once the conditional use permit is completed, then that's when they would go into action, based on our application. But the issue that we ran into is Southwest Power Pool requires 125 feet minimum right of access easement, and the ordinance for Pennington County is there are some that say 66 feet, some that say 70 feet, but certainly not 125. And the problem is, in order to expand from, let's just say, 66 feet to 125, now it's going outside of the ordinance, which means landowners would have to be contacted along the way, to add the additional footage. So the other thing that we have done, which is part of the county ordinance, is that the right-of-way application actually has to come in through the transmission line engineering and construction company, and so we have we've located that company. It's actually a gentleman that I've worked with for 20 plus years, and they did the design. And what they came back to us with and told us is there is no issue for them to make the transmission interconnection, along a 66-foot wide corridor. And I don't want to say the breakthrough, but the breakthrough, kind of came about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer. Southwest Power Pool got back to us with apologies, and they said, we actually don't control the requirement for the right-of-way access, because in the case where, for example, the transmission line is owned and operated by another utility, they said that's the utility that governs, accessing the point of interconnection. So we then went back to WAPA, and they said, yeah, they said, yes, we don't have any minimum corridors. If from an engineering perspective, 66 feet is sufficient, then they said there's no restriction on our part. So that was a very, very large hurdle. If you see the green check marks along the bottom, if you went to the last time you saw this slide that looked like this, the green check mark in the right of way, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth one over, there was no green check mark there. So we now have all the pieces in place. We're working with the names are Carney, Bertolotto, I think Joe Miller, Virginia Merrill. These are the folks in the highway department that we will now be the company that will construct the lateral transmission line will physically be submitting that application, but it was a big barrier that got removed. And maybe we can go to the next slide where I've talked about, I've kind of talked about everything on the next slide. the bullets on and then the next three slides, these are just, these are all of there are 28 conditions precedent established by Brittany and her team. And we don't necessarily have to go through these one by one. It gives you, for example, number two. The second condition precedent is that we need at least a 7-foot fence. Well, our engineering diagrams are reflecting an 8-foot fence. There are a number of permits that will be applied for by us once we have exactly the requirements needed. One of them, for example, is a staging area for the equipment. The staging area is on the landowner's land that we work with, but we have to define specifically, how large and where that is. The access road will come off of Route 44 and go about 2 miles to the site where I think most of you have stood on top of the site. So that's road that doesn't cross any landowner's land other than the landowner that we work with. But there are still requirements, physical requirements for the features, the characteristics of the access road, which we will comply to. We still have to define where is the equipment staging area, and get that permit approved. So there are lots of very administrative details that we're aware of. We don't see any that are of any concern. And in most cases, in these 28, we essentially are saying here, we agree and will comply. And sir, with that, I will turn it over to you to see if there are any specific questions or where you'd like us to take our discussion from here.
All right, thank you, Mark. Questions for Mark from the commission? Thank you, Mark. We're going to go ahead and we have a couple of speaker request forms from the public, and we'd like to move forward with those. Kristen?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
can I ask Mark a question?
Sure. Sorry, I
Could you maybe
still
just
forget. I'll try to help me out
That's
on that
fine.
delay. I appreciate
Yeah.
that, Lori. Thank you.
Hey, Mark, could you maybe summarize? You said that there are various permits that still need to be acquired. Could you kind of summarize like what agencies you'll be working with?
Yeah, they're almost all from a physical project perspective. They're almost all the highway department for access road, for equipment staging. There's another one which is it's like the removal of anything that needs to be removed, like that's not used, and if there's a road that's different from the main road there, but the majority of them, from a conditional use permit, CP conditions precedent perspective, are essentially the highway department.
County highway?
Yes.
And then you probably have some state permits you need to obtain?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. So there are those are not encapsulated in the conditional use permit, but DEQ, stormwater runoff. There are a number of permits surrounding water that are absolutely critical. There are going to be numerous environmental reports. We've done, there are kind of three levels of environmental reports, and we'll be moving through. We've done level one, but there will be a report, for example, required to demonstrate that this is not impacting a Native American site. There wouldn't, for example, unfortunately, be on top of a burial site. Certainly with respect to endangered species, certainly with respect to grasslands. So yes, there are lots and lots of permits and approvals. Then there are electrical requirements. The and I hope it's not this total number, but if it's through the PUC, there are 71 deliverables that are required. It's not a short list.
Also, are there any additional? So most of the permitting and studies still be done are through the state.
Yes, it's and a lot of so the conditions precedent for the county, as you can imagine, they're very specific to access, where are things stored, how are things removed, fencing, lots and lots of those details from a local perspective.
Yep.
And then from an environmental and a electrical grid interconnection perspective, and fire protection programs, and stormwater removal, stormwater plan, those are at the state level.
Are there any additional federal permits required?
A lot of the state level, a lot of the state level permits actually, are kind of in parallel to ones that there are a few at the federal level, but they're usually kind of in parallel.
Because I realize that, the state has been delegated that authority to administer a lot of the federal rules.
Right. And those typically all are, the driver of that permitting is the Public Utility Commission.
Yeah, I just wanted the audience to understand all the additional permitting that's required. I did environmental permitting for an oil company, so I just wanted them to know that is still, there's a lot of study and permitting to be done.
It's absolutely enormous, and I think when Lyon Roth, who's on with us, and I, were there, many times we tried to really establish the expectation that the conditional use permit, that's kind of square zero.
Yeah, it's your start.
That means we just get a green light to pursue everything else that needs to get done.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask, I'd like to do a housekeeping, and one of the things we didn't do and should have done in this, because our speakers from the public would also like to do the same, we should have a motion to discuss this together, 6 and 7 together, and that's what we're doing.
Oh.
Would you please do that, Mike?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we use Agenda 6 and Agenda 7, we do them together, and we'll vote on them separately at the end.
Thank you. Is there a second to
I'll
that
second
motion?
that.
It's moved and seconded to discuss item number 6 and number 7 as being together. That will take a 2/3 vote, especially with the roll call situation we're in, and we will vote on them individually at the conclusion. Does everyone understand what we're doing? Okay. Any discussion on that from the commission? From the audience? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We did have it unanimous, so we can discuss them together. Now we can go on. Go ahead,
Question
Ron.
from Mark.
Yep.
Commissioner Ross Connector
Relative to condition number 27, that the solar facility at no time shall exceed 55 dBA that's measured from the closest property line, can you explain how that's going to be monitored? And if it exceeds, what's the process
I'm sorry. Can you say the first part of your question again? I don't have those bullets up in front of me.
Sure. Item or condition number 27, it's just saying that the noise level should not exceed 55 dBA. So my question is how do we monitor that to make sure that it doesn't?
Well, the only thing that could even come close to that are windmills, and at the moment we're not planning windmills. So 55 dBA, third-party engineering companies can be engaged to take sound readings and submit a periodic report on the sound at the boundary of around the various boundary areas of the project, and so it would be third-party environmental engineering measurements being taken and submitted, to the county as essentially their findings.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mark? Go ahead, Mike.
Mark, I've got a question. Using your crystal ball, when do you think realistically something like this would actually be up and running?
Well, it's from an interconnection standpoint, there's still a 2 or 3 year window, and that is the utility won't allow us to connect before they provide the green light. Now, I don't want to say good news for us, but there are lots and lots of projects, thousands of projects across the United States because of this change in policy that are now going away. So our hope is that Southwest Power Pool, their workload is lightening a little bit, but it would still take probably 2 years on the low end and 3 years on the high end, and depending on how the progress goes, there are some things. Once the county agrees that all conditions precedent are completed, then there are some things that infrastructure could begin with, waiting for the final interconnection approval.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any other questions from the commission?
One, Mr. Chair. Mark, you commented just in this last statement about the way that the administration has changed some funding on that, and you mentioned that earlier too. Is this project feasible without the funding?
That was the whole part of my explanation in the beginning. That the project is now safe harbored. So because there was a very significant capital investment that was made. So again, not on paper, physically. That's what allows the project to continue to operate under the energy policies that were part of the Biden administration, but also every administration, probably 4 or 5 administrations before that. So yes, the short answer is yes.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commission? Mark, if you would, stay on with us for, we do have 3 speaker request forms, and that way if there are any questions would come up, we have.
Mark,
Yes,
can I
sir.
ask one more question, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Lori.
Just to confirm, I understood from your presentation that 5% capital investment has been 10 million?
Approximately, yeah.
Okay.
The approximate cost of a 200 megawatt project is about $1 million per megawatt.
Okay, and you said it was a 5% investment, correct?
Yes, and that's established by the federal level rules.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So Mark, would you please kind of maintain until we get done with your items number
Yes.
6 and 7? Thank you. Kristen Mitzel. And you can, based on our motion, you're allowed to discuss 6 and 7 together, the solar and the wind. Go ahead.
Perfect, thank you. Good morning. My name is Kirsten Mitzel. I was born and raised right here in Pennington County, and I continue to choose to live here because of the beauty of our grasslands, our open skies, and the land that sustains us. What's being proposed by Yarrowtech and other so-called Green New Deal energy projects isn't progress. It's a permanent and temporary loss of our use of land, our livelihoods, and our legacy. We all know the saying, God's not making any more land. Once you cover our short grass prairies with miles of solar panels and turbines, you don't get that back. You can't just scrape it up, pour concrete, and then pretend it's still the same. Less than 2% of these native grasslands remain in the entire country, and once they're gone forever. Our land is our most precious asset, and we should be visionary about protecting it, not selling it out to corporations that call it green while they line their pockets with subsidies and walk away when the profits dry up. This isn't about opposing progress, it's about demanding responsibility. It's about keeping local control, preserving what makes this county special, and standing up for the farmers, ranchers, and families who actually live with the consequences. We don't need more industrial projects dressed up as environmentalism. We need to protect the land that protects us. Thank you.
Questions for Kristen? Thank you, Kristen. Oh, too many pieces of paper piled too many places. Jerry Mater, gonna give Lindsay the closing one today. Is Jerry here?
I think he stepped out, but I can go for
All right, well, gee, we usually put him on after you, so we're gonna put you on first again.
Sean Wagner, my name up there?
Not on 6 and 7, no. You will be on number 17. I do have you down there, Sean. Go ahead.
Mark as well.
On this one?
Yes.
We can do that. Just a second. Give me a second, Lindsay, because actually I have a little bit of an accounting thing here I have to do. Gotcha. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Good morning,
Please.
Commission.
Yep. you
Lindsay
go.
Mater. Thanks for letting me talk this morning. So we, my family had opposed this project quite a bit last year when this come up. I guess I just have a few questions. If they're not planning on doing wind anymore, why are we going to pass a conditional use permit for such? He did talk about easements and road access, which would be across our land, which was not a part of the conditional use permit. So I would like that reviewed. All in all, this is by Rapid Creek and the mouth of the Cheyenne River. And if anything, if those solar panels get damaged and it gets leached into the water, this is gonna affect a lot of people. So I guess I would urge you guys to revoke both of these permits and wait until we get through our current moratorium and do some more studies to make some major decisions on the county.
Questions for Lindsay? Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Jerry back? Nope. You're next. I just teased Lindsay that we usually let you close all the time. We should let her close once in a while. I had it that way, but
Yeah,
All
that
right,
sounds
please
fine.
introduce yourself for the record and go from there.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jerry Mater. I'm a rancher neighboring to this, where this Yarrow Tech project is proposed to go in. And thank you for letting me speak this morning. I guess I've got a few things that are concerning this 125-foot easement for the power line. We'll have to cross about 4.5 miles of our land. And I guess I'm just kind of concerned about, well, I guess frankly, with all due respect, the honesty of these two gentlemen that we have been dealing with on this Yarrow Tech, they having been forthwith all the time. They've told us a lot of things that were proven to be inaccurate. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, and hopefully that'll get better with time. And I think a lot of the government money has been clawed back with the new administration. But now we're hearing rumors of a lot of foreign money that has been introduced into these projects. So I'm kind of concerned that these may be foreign-owned projects that well, I guess just doesn't seem quite right to me in our country, the United States. And I guess the other thing on the Yarrow Tech project, they're supposed to be about a third prepared at this time in the stage. They've had a year to do to get prepared, and I don't think they've even approached at all the 33% mark. So I just wondered how interested they really are in doing all of this. And I guess I want to make sure that that ranch is for sale where they want to put this in at. And I just want to make sure that they stay on their property with the road down to Highway 44, as Mark stated. But at one time, to begin with, they said they were landlocked and they had to cross our ranch, which would have cut our ranch in half. So I'm hoping that they may retain an easement or whatever they need to do if that land or that property does sell, that they do what they said they would do and keep the road down there if they proceed. And I guess another thing, I think it takes quite a bit of water to build one of these projects. I didn't know where they were going to get their water. Water is a pretty scarce commodity out our way, so I don't know how they're going to come up with that. And a lot of these, I guess this is kind of a couple of pretty big things, this, to me. The down the road consequences of these solar farms and wind farms are relatively new, and we don't really know all the environmental damage that can happen down the road, 20, 30 years from now. And there's just so many proposed sites going in. I guess I just would like to see a moratorium or a stop to it and give us time to take a breath and study it and try to really, really understand what could happen here. So I guess that's about all I have, I guess, at this point.
Jerry, if you give us a minute, we do have Mark on there. There was a couple of them that he addressed in his, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind. That was the access easement, Mark. Would you care to answer what Jerry's asking here, the 125 versus the
Yeah. So what I tried
I'll try to do these one at a time for you. Go ahead.
Yeah. What I tried to spend a lot of time explaining is it's not 125, it's 66, and that's a county ordinance. So that is established by the county highway department.
Okay, and it will stay as the original plan that was produced or put before us, and it won't be involving the new request from related property owners?
Correct.
Okay. Does that answer that part for you at least?
Well, not completely. We haven't been approached about this at all. And like I say, it's going to go across.
Neither would you need to be. If you have an issue, you have to take it up with the county, not with the project developer.
Is that correct? I don't know.
I'm going to let Brittany answer that one, Jerry. I don't know all these little. Go ahead, Brittany.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, Brittany Hand. I did talk to Joe Miller, our Highway Superintendent. It falls under Ordinance 11.
Okay.
And so those transmission lines for the alternative energy within section lines would have to go in front of the Board of Commissioners for approval. They're not an administrative approval through the Highway Department. They're a Board of Commissioner approval under Ordinance 11.
Okay. So we will be hearing more on it if it changes? That's what I'm asking.
Right, no, it would just go directly to the Board of Commissioners. It wouldn't come to the
Okay.
Planning Commission, so it would actually be a Highway Department request
wanted to
under
know.
that ordinance, and it would go in front of the
Yeah, it
board.
won't follow the old trail. All right, thank you. Did that one help you out a little bit, Jer?
Yeah. well,
All
there-
right.
There's no trail there, it's just a fence
Correct.
intersection line. Is that, okay.
So, all right, and then you also had that the ranch is for sale, and you were wondering whether some of the commitments and the things that were proposed in the initial thing, as well as the conditions, they will transfer over in any sale. That's, I kind of surmised it is what I did. Do you understand what I kind of took his question, which was several items, and put it together. If the ranch is for sale, will these items be included to make sure that they don't have to be re-reviewed again by property owners or other folks that are involved with the final approval on this, including yourself? Mark?
Yeah, yes. If the ranch sells, then the conditions for the buyer are established between the seller and the buyer. And this project is the requirements to satisfy this project are legally binding. So that would be between the land seller and the land buyer, not yeah. And the short answer would be that an easement to allow this project to stay as is would be one of the conditions for the buying agreement.
Okay. All right, at least we've got that on right. All right, and the last one would be water needs. The other two, I don't feel, if Mark wants to comment, and I'll go through the other two you had, but the water needs, Mark had questions on the water needs. Do you guys have some handle on that yet, what you're looking at and where you'd come up with them?
There's a 3,500 foot high capacity well right on the site.
Okay.
All right, so in other words, if it didn't meet your, let me guess what you're saying here, and I'm trying to speak for the question here. If it didn't meet, you would have it developed such that it met your needs so that you can get the needs you need out of that well?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
you know, there are projects, for example, where you know what water has to be brought in by water trucks. We certainly don't think that we're anywhere close to having a concern here.
But it is your plan right now, that, out of that well?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can I speak on that?
After, let's
Okay.
finish what Jerry's got here. Let me
Okay.
go through it, Lindsay, and then I'm gonna have the other one speaking, you can certainly come back up. And then your documentation, there's he had one final question that I feel comfortable of trying to answer. He asked about your preparation, your 1/3 preparation at this date and time?
Yeah.
Is that on the state paperwork? Was it, did I
Well,
remember?
I think just total preparation, I've read that it
Total preparation.
generally they are about that far
All right.
along at this stage.
And how much is that changed or is involved right now? Go ahead.
I'm not sure I even understand the question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jerry.
I guess my point is, if you're not 33%, a third of the way through the project in a year's time, how dedicated are you to completing the project?
So I guess so that I completely understand what's considered a third of preparation, like how would that be defined?
I think filing for, road permits and power line permits, access permits, various, quite a few things. And as far as I know,
Yeah,
I don't think.
so engineering, environmental studies, the work that we've done with right of way, the work that we've done with the Southwest Power Pool regional transmission operator, on and on are enormous things that we do. Actually, the majority of the conditions precedent for example, demonstrating that we have an 8-foot fence. Most of those items are much more, administrative and documentary. So we certainly have not been sitting on our thumbs.
Okay.
And there is, there's kind of no equation, so I think that, putting $10 million in also, when developers all over the United States are not doing that and can't afford to do that, and the fact that we made sure that we gave a 1-year conditional use permit status, before the end of the deadline, certainly should be evidence that we're working hard and we're committed. And we wouldn't have done any of those things if, according to Mr. Mader, we didn't care about the project anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry, you might have been out of the room at the time you did answer Mike's question in regard to just an over-the-thumb. When would there be a substantial amount of progress on the ground on this? And I believe it was 2 to 3 years was the,
Okay,
so you might have been out of the room at that time too.
oh, sure, all right.
Jerry, anything else?
No, I don't think so at this time.
Anything for Jerry? Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Yes, another question that I don't think got answered, pertaining to why they're still pursuing, Mark mentioned. We're still going ahead with that.
I'm
I'm
not
sorry,
sure.
maybe Lindsay asked, I got a little confused in there. If Mark would speak.
If, my problem with that one is that since we're reviewing that, I'm not sure that you can say that we're reviewing both. And I haven't had any notice. I don't know. The board's looking at both of them, is it not? Commissions, we're looking at the wind as well as the solar. I have no notification in my agenda that there's any been reviewed on the wind power.
Maybe Mark can answer that.
Yeah, go ahead if you want to ask. You got the lectern.
Okay, are you not doing any of the wind towers on this project then, Mark, is that right?
Sir, for the moment, one of the other things that this administration, you've seen it in the news, you've heard it out of the mouth of the president. It seems to be very, very counter, to wind development, much more so than solar. So, I think it's not a final answer yet. But we certainly could see a path forward where the project is solar only. So, I've got the chairman of the company and the founder on the Zoom call as well. So I won't make a final announcement, but Mr. Mader, that certainly seems to be the way that it's headed.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Okay, you bet. Thank you.
I just got to throw in one for housekeeping. Don't speak from the audience, please. I just got my hand slapped, and I don't like that. Then I get unhappy, and you don't want me unhappy, because I like to go a lot faster when I'm unhappy. So, all right, we've got Sean Wagoneer.
Morning, commissioners and everybody, and Mark. I heard you talk about the Biden administration and 4 administrations prior to the current administration. And y'all said that they invested $10 million. Are y'all still depending on the tax credit from the administrations prior to the big bill? Because you said it has 3 years before y'all start breaking ground. These tax credits stop at July 4th of 2026. Also, I am holding the commissioners. Go ahead.
Have you read the regulation about what happens when projects are safe harbored? Do you know that detail?
No, I don't know that detail. Please explain
We
a little
do.
bit to me and the people.
When the project is safe harbored, then the 2026 deadline doesn't apply anymore.
Right, that's why you're here telling the people this stuff. Did y'all do EPA significant nexus investigation on the runoff to the water of the Cheyenne. That's with the Army Corps of Engineers. You know, that's a
That's
major
all our
thing.
state approvals. Yes.
That's federal. All right, then I looked into who is the major investors in Infinity Global. You know, there was $400 million donated by the Azerbaijan Republic, which, so this ain't all about American money, you know, and then, you know, so that brings a lot of concern to me and the people here, because y'all are trying to kind of do some eminent domain kind of stuff. So I'm asking y'all, and I'm gonna go talk to Thune's office and a couple other people about a committee on foreign investment in the United States, okay? They're gonna bring in the DOJ, they'll bring in other people, see whose pockets are getting lined, whose pockets are, what's really going on here. You know, I hear you stumble and mumble on the words and how you were being very choiceful with your words on to these people and to the commissioners. I think it's a lot of hidden agendas behind this. You know, we the people, we run this. You know, 64-1-3, the people of the South Dakota own the water. And, you know, we could use the Title VI, Paragraph 2, the Supremacy Clause, which means that if we have a conflict within the state, we'll use the federal Constitution, then we could go into that step. You know, we're gonna hold y'all responsible. We're tired of y'all getting bought out and being, stepping on our toes when we are y'all people. We put y'all into y'all spots. Y'all are in consent of the Constitution, which means y'all are in contract of the Constitution, okay? And that holds
I
y'all
mean to
very
cut you off,
liable
but
to
I
these
think
things.
that's enough. That first off, we're volunteers, all but one member.
Yeah, okay,
So
well,
let's get that straight.
well,
Let's
still,
you do your homework on that. Next, I'm talking. Do not threaten that there's problems here, that we're gonna have these removed. We sign a deal, we volunteer to do this, we come here, we read this. Secondly, what kind of car do you drive?
what kind of car I drive?
What kind of car
I
do you
drive a Dodge.
Okay, that's American-made. I can certainly understand then why you support American-made.
I'm a
But,
United States Army veteran.
but there are, and that's, I applaud your service. I'm a Marine, so we both got it in
Thanks for your
common.
service.
Thank you. What I'm trying to say is, those are things that aren't necessarily clear-cut issues, why somebody's investing or not investing. We invest in foreign things as Americans in other places. People do invest in here, and there are some that I certainly, as you noted, were shady, and they're not the answer for us. But what I'm trying to say, those are things that are out of our control. What we're trying to do is review his request to continue his conditional use permit, which seems to be in order. But you should know that if he does not have a certain amount of progress and adequate progress at 2 years, that has to be reissued. So we're dealing with a 2-year point. Next year is a critical cutting place for him. So
Right.
that's when you want to be back here about what your concerns are about wind or whatever, because that's a 2-year point. Whether he gets it continued or not is very important at that point.
Right, and we do need the significant nexus investigate or study because of these solar panels and whatnot, because of the leakage. You know, it's proven fact from the EPA. They're at a fence line study. Once it goes past that fence line, there's no protections in that, okay? And that's where I'm getting to, and
And
I
that's
hate
all
seeing
I'm trying to do, is that those things are out of the control of the type of review we're doing here, and I applaud your efforts to go to other sources for it.
Oh,
That's all.
absolutely. I fight for my peers in the community and in the county and also in the
Just
state.
don't want you to get wound up on people that can't help you.
Yeah, well, y'all are a very big part of this, and I'm asking y'all to walk with a lot of integrity. And I'm not saying y'all not, but I'm just saying that, hey, there's investments, there's a lot of money, and there's a lot of backdoor stuff, and us, the people, are tired of it, and that's why we're standing up today and days before, and we're gonna be here afterwards. Thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you. Veronica Edoff? Edoff? Okay, we'll move you forward. And Sean, I'm continue to, for the 17 for the ordinance. I put yours, okay. That's all the speaker request forms, but if anyone else would like to stand up and does have, in regards to item number 6 or 7, you may discuss them together and we can go from there. Okay, back in the commission's table.
Mr. Chair,
Now, we've got to look at them one at a time. So item number 6 would be the first one. That's CUR 24-0022.
Mr. Chair, can I have the floor just for a minute?
Sure.
You know, what it comes down to me is property rights. You know, I got two sides out there and I'm listening to both. But I think to be fair, you have to sit there and look at what we have in front of us, what our position is, and to respect people's property rights. We can't have it all just one way. So I'm just going to say that before we get into the voting process.
Anyone else want to weigh in? Otherwise, we need a motion to address this. Staff's recommendation is to approve.
So we're on number 6, right?
We're on number 6.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve conditional use permit review CUR 24-0022.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve per staff's recommendation, CUR 24-0022 with 28 conditions. Discussion from the audience. From the commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We're on to item number 7.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve continuing use permit review CUR 24-0023.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve CUR 24-0023 with 25 conditions per staff's recommendation. Discussion from the audience. From the commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Just for the audience, and I know some of you spoke on this, this comes up again in 1 year for renewal. All right, now we move on. We get to the right one here. We won't do like, okay, how about naming a road? I should be able to stay out of trouble on that, shouldn't I? Thank you. Go ahead, Kelsey.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kelsey Roush, Planner. Let me get my PowerPoint up here. We have an application to rename a road. Oops, wrong one. It's not saved it. Well, looks like I don't have the right PowerPoint. But we have
You've got some pretty pictures in the one you gave to us, so I can live without pictures up on the screen.
Okay. So we have an application to rename a road. The applicant is DJ Perkins. She is one of the property owners on this road that she would like to rename. All 4 of the property owners did sign the application. They have been having multiple issues with mail and people finding them when they come to the properties. The applicant is in the audience if you have questions for her. There's only 4 properties being affected.
One of the things, I have a question for you. One of the things involved here is the 2 road names that were, I don't want to say they were in conflict, but of confusion, were very close to each other in location besides. Is that correct?
Yes, and they were both named on the plat originally.
All right.
Back in those days, it didn't really, must not have occurred to anybody that there would be issues with having dual road names.
Well, we probably didn't even have emergency looks at it by then. So why would anybody get it confused in an emergency, right? Okay, questions for Kelsey? Hearing none. Chair to address a motion. I guess we don't have an item number on this. You've got to just call it item 13, proposed road name.
I'll go ahead and make the
I'll
motion.
move to approve item 13 to
I'll
change
second
the
it.
name per staff recommendation.
All right, and a second has been made. Did you get Ron for the second, Jerry? All right, discussion from the audience. Anyone here to speak up for it or against it? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. On to item number 14.
Morning, Commissioners. Jason Thennison, Assistant Planning Director. Agenda item number 14 is Planned Unit Development Amendment, PUR 94-20. This is a request to amend an existing planned unit development to define the established use of a cabin and to allow 2 caretaker residents and allow long-term and short-term rentals. The applicant, or the property owner, is JV Gulch LLC. The agent is Isaac Almanza. He's in the audience if you have any questions for him. Location of the property is 23774 Highway 385. Altogether, this PUD consists of 2 lots. It is 153.67 acres. Existing land use is a mobile home park with seasonal cabins. Access is off Highway 385. There is special flood hazard area on the property as well as floodway. So on July 5th, 1994, the Board of Commissioners established this PUD under rezone RZN 94-20. That approval brought a legal nonconforming recreational resort into compliance with the Pennington County zoning ordinance at that time. The current property owner bought the property in 2020 and has made substantial progress in clearing old dilapidated mobile homes off of the property. I think he said there's between 4 and 6 left to remove on the property. So the applicant's requesting to amend the PUD to add vacation home rentals as a use on the property, commercial development of budding Highway 385, 2 caretaker residences. As you can see, there are 2 properties on here. There is an existing caretaker residence down here on this lower property. He's proposing to have another one up here on the property in the northwest side. He's also looking to better define what cabins are. Cabins were an approved use under the original PUD. He wants to define those more or less as accessory dwelling units. So the 700 square foot limit, no more than 2 stories. And one of the conditions that are added in there too to really make sure that these are seasonal in nature is we added some conditions in there that no attached garages be allowed. I know the applicant would like to speak on that one. There's also a requirement in there that none of the cabins within the PUD are allowed to be owner occupied through Department of Equalization. That's another attempt by staff to make sure that these remain seasonal in nature. And then we also set a number. There was no number on the amount of recreational resort sites. So in working with the property owner, we came up with 110. Staff did add, like I said, developmental standards for seasonal recreational resort in order to establish setbacks, permitting, licensing, and commercial siting requirements. So these are the original conditions of approval. There are only 5. I think we got it up to 18 total moving forward. So what you can see here is an aerial on the left-hand side of the screen of what the property looks like. And then this is the original site plan that came forward in 1994, kind of a breakdown of the lots. And there is a condition in there currently that I carried forward. It spoke about future development area not being able to be developed unless there was a plan to come along with it. That's this triangle here that I have outlined on the left-hand side of the screen. I kind of imposed that on an aerial photo of what that looks like now. I used that laundry shower facility as a marker to kind of base that off of, as well as a section line. I know there was some discussion. I talked to the property owner this morning about that. He doesn't really have a plan for it, but it doesn't seem necessary to carry that condition forward now. I did leave that in there as condition number 2. I dug through the original staff report and I couldn't find any reason why it would have been considered undevelopable at that time. So staff would not be opposed to removing condition number 2 under my recommendation. And this is the zoning map of the properties, another aerial. I did go out and do a site visit on October 21st. This is a view of the mobile home park looking southeast. So this is on the southeast side of Highway 385. This is the existing caretaker residence looking south. This is again 385 here on the left-hand side of that photo. And then a picture of the private drive going north. Wasn't able to get up there and take any pictures of the mobile homes that remain on the property, but like I said, the applicant has made significant strides moving forward to get rid of all those old mobile homes that were up there. So with that, staff does recommend approval of Planned Unit Development Amendment PUR 94-20 with 18 conditions, and I'll stand for any questions you might have.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
can I ask a question?
go right ahead, Lori.
You mentioned the 100-year floodway through the property. Is there any additional things that need to be done or, based on the prior use and the planned use?
Nope, but I did add a condition in there that if there's any development in the special flood hazard area or the floodway, that the applicant works with our office to get a permit prior to doing so. I didn't include it on this map, I probably should have, but Spring Creek comes down here to the southeast. So that area of the special flood hazard area that we're talking about is in this far southeast corner of this property down below.
So right now, there are no structures in that area?
No, it is undeveloped at this time. The mobile home park that's there now does abut that special flood hazard area, but there's no development within it.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Go ahead, Mike.
So, Jason, number 2, the future development thing, you want to leave that as is?
I would not be opposed to removing that condition of approval.
gonna
Like I said, that was one of the ones
Yeah.
that was originally approved that I just carried forward.
I would think, Mr. Chair, that's one when we do the motion, we might change.
All right. Go ahead. Anybody else got any questions? I've got a couple. If we look at the condition number 1, it says 110 seasonal recreation resort sites. I've been in and out of that area for years. Used to know the folks that lived in the front. She served on a couple of committees for the Planning Commission 20 years ago. Is there any idea this time, do they file the blend of those or do they get permits? How do they decide what relationship or ratio those are going to go at? Is that something I should leave to the owner for the questions?
So for reference, I did put up here on the screen, again, you can see they were originally approved 55 recreational sites throughout here, or throughout the properties.
The old one.
Right, correct.
Yeah, and I think there was still 47, at least up there the last time I was up there.
Yep, so they got approval for 55. There is adequate property to develop that more.
Oh, yeah.
The applicant did talk about an RV park as well, so that is included as the, one of the uses on the property. Here you can see, this is kind of a tough image to look at, but this is a future recreation area down here. So if
Okay.
you wanted to put in an RV park, that would be a rather ideal spot to do that.
A little bit more daily turnover type
Right,
of
but
thing, yeah.
as a cumulative total, if you had these developed sites up here for cabins and then wanted to put the additional 25, 30.
Does he do that through a permit process with you, or
Correct.
is that approved in bulk under the PUR?
Yep, so we would track that through building permits, whenever you would
Okay.
come in for a building permit to develop any of these sites, if this is even the site plan that he feels that he wants to move forward with. But it's a good baseline to say what was established at that time. We would track it through the building permit process to make sure no more than 110 sites were developed on this property.
My next one on that same thing fits in. What about most of the, or I don't even say most of it. I used to drive around and that prompted it. Back in those days, most of the leases or whatnot, yet they rented during the winter to other people and whatnot, were from people in eastern South Dakota that came out here and summered on and off during the season. What about those that had a privy or a outhouse? Have those been properly taken care of and just
Yep, so I
put to
did,
bed, so to speak?
I did speak with the property owner last week, and he said that there are no outhouses out there. I think they were removed back in 2018. So the existing structures that were out there, the old mobile homes that people still seasoned in, were required to have porta potties outside because
That was actually probably
use
the biggest congestion of outhouses
Right.
20, 25 years ago that I knew of in the area. That was there was a lot of them up
Right.
there. All right, and then the last one is, of course, the one you brought up, cabin structures. And I'll just throw it on the table. I don't see, our accessory dwelling units never had like a seasonal accessory dwelling unit. So one of the things comes to mind, are they going to be heated? The second thing is, when I think of an accessory dwelling unit, I don't think of a garage or that sort of thing. I guess I could think of a carport with the amount of hail we had around here, but help me out on that one. What's your thoughts, or what's the direction of the Department of the Planning on that?
So Brittany's idea and my idea are a little bit different.
Okay.
So Brittany does not like the attached garage idea on these accessory dwelling unit size. So let me back up a little bit. So the accessory dwelling units limits the square footage to 700 square feet.
Right.
No more than 2 stories. And that was the idea for the property owner to not have these qualify as single-family residences on the property. Because we wanted to define a cabin, and that kind of turned into a discussion in the office about, well, how do you define a cabin? Is it square footage and development style, or is it the use behind it? So we're trying to split the difference on that. And her idea was not to have attached garages, because at that point, it could give the impression that it is a permanent single-family residence, and that's not what the approved use of the PUD is for. So in order to try to keep it seasonal in nature, we don't want people to have, or she didn't think that it would be appropriate to have an attached garage on a structure to allow someone to live there full-time. But the property owner has other ideas, and you may ask him to come up and speak on that as well, as far as overall development and aesthetics of the property. But as far as accessory dwelling units go, in other cases, we have approved those.
So it's a little bit in flux yet.
Correct.
All right.
So we do approve accessory dwelling units to be a portion of a larger pole building, if you will. So there have been instances, even finished space above a garage would be an ADU.
And it
So-
wouldn't have to be attached, for starters. You could do it by that, too.
Right.
Okay. Understand. That's a good enough answer.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I let you know, I can see when we're dealing with seasonal and those sort of things, like a carport protection or something. And I could even see wiring going out to it, so in case they needed a charger or something on their vehicle, or one of the seasonal type of things they bring with them. Okay. Any other questions for Jim?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So, Jason, the accessory building would be limited to 700 square feet?
The living quarters would be 700 square feet, correct.
And so the attached garage, could they have a detached garage, one car?
Correct. Yes, because I did write a condition in there that accessory structures be allowed with a building permit. So they could have carports, they could have detached garages, they just couldn't be attached to the cabin.
But if it was attached, could they also call it a storage instead of a garage? Is it just terminology that we're having problems with?
Yes, I believe so. It's trying to narrow down and hone in on what a cabin is. That's something that we're still working through in the office. But the property owner wants to move forward with the development, so at this point, we're having that internal dialogue upstairs, trying to figure out how best to define these. And in the interim, let this property owner move forward with his plans.
So how many, the way this is zoned or the way this PUD reads, how many of these accessory structures could be developed on this property?
So cabin-wise, he asked for 110 spots in this area. I don't believe his intent is to develop it out with 110 of them, because he did mention that he wants an RV park up there and some other uses, so that would be the number that he could possibly have up there, though.
Okay.
Additional questions for Jason? Isaac?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to come up and introduce yourself for the record? It sounds like we do have one question for you for sure about the garages.
Okay. Thank you. Isaac Almanza, got JV Gulch. And I guess I'll answer the question.
The biggest one, it seems, is the one that's in flux with the department. What's your thought on those garages, or what's your direction, or why do you want them attached? I guess it'd be, help you out to start somewhere.
Sure. Well, I believe that it would condense everything down if we have detached garages, and that'll just add double the amount of units up there.
Spacing.
Yes.
So you could keep
So
your.
I would like to keep it flux where it's, detached or non-detached. I guess I'd like the flexibility.
Okay.
Where it makes sense to have them attached, I would like to do so.
But you probably would go with the detached to limit the amount of square space you had to give to each of your cabin units to meet probably building permit requirements and whatnot.
Yeah, I would probably go with the attached.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead. Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, we got one. Just Laura, you're gonna wait. Go ahead, Ron.
No,
All right, Mike?
Well, I was just going to say, I'm familiar with the area over the years. Your footprint is going to be a heck of a lot smaller with an attached garage than a detached. There's not a ton of room.
Because of setbacks.
Yeah.
The topography.
Laurie?
Are you finding that the clientele that you're planning to attract there would like to have an attached garage, or, how big of a cabin is this going to be?
Well, I think I'm limited to accessory dwelling size, so 700 square foot plus a garage. I think it was a two-car garage.
Because that, I'm just thinking about it, it's not going to be a place where a large family is going to be able to stay, correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't think you'd fit many people in 700 foot.
Okay, it's going to be smaller cabins.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Isaac, then I've got two questions, and I think we can maybe get it solved, because then I have some thoughts. How many of these seasonal cabins do you think you'll do? And I'm not gonna hold you to it, are you gonna do 10 of them, 25 of them?
I honestly can't answer that question because I don't really know. But I figured that since we were already approved for 55 or whatever it was, I would just stick with that and see what happens. I think that there'd be more RV sites than there would be cabins. I don't want it too much density back there, so.
Do you think most of them will get rented like by the season, or do you think how they'll go for renting? You got an idea on that?
If they'll be rented by the season?
Yeah, in other words, people like they used to. The Sioux Falls people came here is what I'm saying, that from years ago, before your time. They were coming out here for, they'd stay a month, then they'd go home for 2 weeks, and they'd come back, and they'd stay, that sort of thing. It was pretty permanent during the summer.
Oh, yeah, I think there would be a need for those, and I think that people would lease those out.
There's still a call for that sort of thing, that people in short drives, they're gonna get away from their home.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, some of the people back there, they wanted to do a nicer cabin. And when we were cleaning it up, getting rid of the mobile homes. And they wanted, utilities, and just didn't have that before.
Jason, and I got an idea to propose to maybe get this. I agree with you not have attached garages, but what if we gave them a certain percentage that he could go ahead and do that and see how it worked out? In other words, he just spoke about 55 units of it. Allow 50% of the first 10 or 20 and see what it works out for him. Is that something that's possible through the department or through a condition?
Sure, if you wanted to include a condition in there that the first 10 cabins be allowed to have attached garages, You wanted to add that in
Would
there?
that help you move a little forward so we'd have something to look at and review and work with?
Sure, yeah.
Mr. Chair,
I mean,
Yes.
you, me, and Mike, I know that we've been up Gordon Gulch numerous times. And we all knew what Gordon Gulch looked like before Isaac bought it.
Oh, yeah.
And whether it's attached, detached, whatever he's gonna do, I can probably guarantee you, based on his history, it's gonna be a lot better than what it was with all these privies up and down that valley.
Yep.
And I personally don't, I like the idea. You do an attached garage, even if it's, you know, a percent like you're saying, it's just one less building permit that we're gonna have to deal with in the county, and it's gonna have a smaller footprint overall. And there's a good chance that garage is gonna be used for storage and never see a car in it anyhow, so those are my ideas on it.
I guess what I was looking at, and we've got to give them enough to start with. It wouldn't bother me to, out of the first 20, with some sort of review, then after, allow him to make the selection of how many he wants to do with an attached garage. In other words, that would be the percentage that we go by, because he may have some that are site-specific too, where attached garage is gonna work, but a non-attached is going to cost him some excavation and everything else to do it. And that isn't my purpose, is to run his bill up on building his places. But I would propose something like a condition that would allow him to do, you know, anywhere from 10 to 15 of the first 20 and take a look at it. Is that something?
Well, we were talking about a percentage, and on page 106, it says 110 seasonal recreational
Yeah.
sites, so we could say, just divide that in half and say 55.
Fine with me. So he's got some flexibility on his building is all I'm trying to.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I think if we're just talking semantics, it doesn't make any difference either way. He needs to put in whatever is going to work for him.
What works on his site specific? Matt, I see you shaking your head.
No, I agree with,
Kevin?
yep, correct.
Mike? Okay. Then it does look like we won't need to worry about a percentage on the garages. So you're saying that we're gonna allow him the flexibility, and we'll add that in the condition that he can make them attach the garages. Is that something we can revise, Jason, that will work for you?
So what I would recommend in this situation is condition number 5. If you all want to take a look, we'll just go ahead and, after we make the Pennington County zoning ordinance reference to 324B3B, we just delete out "and have attached garages."
Okay.
And not have attached garages.
just put
And
in
delete
and
number
or.
2. We're gonna delete number 2
Yes.
out of this.
Right, so
Yeah.
that was a separate.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
One
so
more
just to
thing.
clarify, excuse
Yes,
me, sir.
and that's what I was gonna do. It also does not, that would not remove his right that if he needed to build a separate garage, he could still go for that permit and go ahead
Right,
and do
yep.
that.
So he could have detached garages. There's a
All right.
condition in there for
So
accessory
that's all clear.
structures.
He can do both.
Yep.
All right, as his building requirements and lot-specific requirements need to be. Okay. Is that what
Thank you, appreciate it.
you were gonna ask?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else that you'd like to run by us then?
I'll go ahead and make the motion then to approve Plan Unit Development Amendment PUR 94-20 with the recommended changes that we made today.
All right. Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve per staff's recommendations, PUR 94-20, with condition number 2 removed. Condition number 5, not as published, it's going to remove the and not have attached garages. Does everybody understand what we did?
Yep.
Okay. Questions from the audience? Discussion? From the commission? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. On to item number 15.
Good morning, Commissioners. Item number 15 is Comprehensive Plan Amendment COCA 25-0009 for Shane Schreiner. to amend the comprehensive plan to change a future land use from rural residential district, suburban residential district, and highway service district to commercial district. This has been in front of the Planning Commission several times. The reason that we continued it is to wait until the Board of Adjustment made a decision on the road improvement requirements and waived those requirements as a subdivision regulation variance, which they did at their last Board of Commissioners meeting. So with that, if there's not any specific questions, staff is recommending approval of this comprehensive plan amendment to commercial as it's consistent with the zoning in the area.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
just a little background. I think the whole premise behind this is just the current ownership, they're trying to transfer that into a trust, and this is just part of the process in doing so. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve comprehensive plan amendment CA 25-0009.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded to approve per staff's recommendation, CA 25-0009. And we don't have conditions on either the rezone or the comprehensive. All right, discussion from the audience. From the commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. On to item number 16.
Item number 16 is rezone CORZ 25-0010 for Shane Schreiner to rezone from agriculture district, suburban residential district, and highway service district to commercial district. And again, this is the same request that subdivision regulation variance was approved. And now that the comprehensive plan amendment was recommended for approval, staff does also recommend approval to rezone this to commercial.
Okay, questions for Brittany? I just want to make sure that, for the record, this is the one that had the more controversial aspect to it in regards to what the fact that they were renting the ATVs, and there is a certain level of unhappiness all over in the hills on the ATVs, and I think we saw a lot of that. We don't have a lot to say on that, similar to what I told the other gentleman in regards to some of the requirements in about wind and solar energy. So I just wanted that for the record. We're not avoiding that. We certainly reviewed all those letters and those things that came in. I know I did, and I understand their unhappiness with that. So, any other questions for Brittany?
Mr. Chair, my only comment would be, I understand the neighbors and their frustration with the side-by-sides, I really do. But this request isn't about that. It's just when you got a property that's zoned highway service and they just want to rezone it to commercial, you still have the right to do with that property if it follows the guidelines of I think this is more just trying to clean things up and.
Kind of a house cleaning.
Nothing to do with ATVs or side-by-sides.
Chairman, for the record, it's just for 1.3 acres.
Yes.
Like Commissioner Ross Connect had
Okay.
said, it's going from highway service to commercial, which essentially has the same type of uses. But the 1.3 acres had some residential and agricultural zoning, but it's just cleaning that up in that whole area, and it's just for 1.3 acres, essentially.
I agree with you, and I just want to make sure that citizens that listen to these and see them and read them know that we do take into context what they're saying, but not in context when it doesn't have anything to do with the ordinance that's involved in setting up property rights. Those are pretty strong things. Anyone here to speak on this from the audience? Anyone want to go ahead and propose a motion for the chair?
Mr. Chair. Go ahead. I'd like to make a motion to approve CORZ 25-0010.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve per staff's recommendation, CORZ 25-0010, and certainly no conditions on the zoning. Discussion from the audience, from the commission. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. On to item number 17. Would anyone here like to take a break before we jump on 17?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
All right, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. I'll reconvene it in 10 minutes. All right, I'm going to call the meeting back to order. Just for as a little housekeeping thing. And it would help you, I think, as much as us as well. If you want to get on the record and you want to oppose the ordinance, I have no problem with that, but then let's limit it to that. If you pros and principle, we don't have to go into that. If you have items that relate to the ordinance and things that are in the ordinance, I certainly would like to go down and review those because we'd like to get to pounding those out. I understand the moratorium was, what do you call it, extended through the Board of Commissioners. And that does give us some time here, and it doesn't mean it's any less imperative to you folks. But if you do, if your whole idea is that you oppose the land use, in other words, for these sort of things, I'd appreciate it if you limit it on how much politicking you would do or whatever. And if you do instead have things that, in regards to this ordinance, and I know many of you have read them, I've read an awfully lengthy, specific changes that they would like to see to the ordinance. So I'd like to get going on some of those, but we're going to go ahead and finish out our testimony if anyone would care, and we do have a number of speaker request forms, and we'll go from there. Board, the commission okay with what we did? And Jerry's back. We're just going to go through the speaker request. I have to say, I'll try. I get a number of the speaker request forms that say, please put me on the end. Everybody can't be on the end. Guys, you got to give the poor chair a break once in a while. I'll mix them up, but I won't guarantee anybody gets to the end. How about Betty Kaniski? She didn't put me on the end on hers. Thank you.
Morning. Good morning, I'm Betty Kaniski. I'll make this short. I know you.
Go ahead, Betty.
Well, you know I'm opposed to it, but my main concern is the setbacks. And I know, excuse me, I'm getting this. We have rights as adjacent landowners, these things, and so I want them to be addressed. And that's, I'll just waive my time. There's people have more new stuff than I do, so thank you.
Just any questions? Both the solar and the wind, then, in other words, you're concerned about the setbacks as they are expressed in the ordinance?
I don't think they are enough, and
Okay.
and they're next to my grandson and Jerry. Both are going to order the one that's proposed, and we're worried about the setbacks.
From a visual viewpoint or from an operational?
The livestock and the water.
Okay.
Thank you.
That explains it. Thank you, Betty.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Okay, remind me, what is the current setback?
Well, you
For
got
1 mile, just so I know going forward.
Well, it varies. Well, they extended them to.
There's the table, and it has all the different setbacks on it, so we can refer to it during the testimony.
Well, I guess speakers coming up, they want to look at that and say, you know, this is a setback and we don't like it. This is what we suggest. This is the information that I need. If you don't like it, tell me what you recommend.
we will be, the board members kind of thought that we just did one not long ago that was a little longer, and we did it by the page rather than go by item and that sort of thing, and the setbacks will be coming up. I've got questions about them myself. And we will be getting that. But, so if you do have setback information, what Commissioner Roskinek is suggesting, please let us know what those recommendations would be. Certainly, if you have questions about it, we assume that it's not enough. All right, so we got Betty. Oh, I've got Veronica again. Go ahead, Veronica. Please introduce yourself just for the record and go from there.
I'm Veronica Edoff, and I just want to have you guys be considerate of not only the property that the solar or wind is going to go on, but the surrounding property people. Because if you have never went through the process of eminent domain, and I have, it is a financial, mental, and physical hardship. And it doesn't last just a little while. It takes several years to get through all that process. And so I am all for property rights. I'm a property owner. But I have an obligation to my neighbors also to be a good property person and be a good neighbor. And when these solar farms or whatever you want to call them, or wind turbines or whatever, go up on a piece of property, you are affecting those neighbors. And especially if they have to run a line across the neighbors. They didn't get any say in that to start with. And that needs to be highly considered by all of you in this process to make sure those neighboring landowners are kept whole also. Because that is not an easy process to go through. None of it. And until you have done it, like I said, it's not easy.
Mr. Chair, can I speak to
Go
that?
ahead. Yeah.
So I mentioned property rights earlier, and under an ideal situation, if you had the scales of justice, those scales would be balanced. Now, if we went in and told this company, go ahead, we're going to rubber stamp it, you go in there and do what you got to do, your property rights would be down here, theirs would be here. I think with the 27, 28 conditions, what we're trying to do is put enough, where they got enough skin in the game to equal those property rights, and that's what I'm up here trying to do, is listening to you saying, hey, it's still not right, it's not level. So just tell us what we need to do to make it level, so that we try to address property rights equally on both sides.
Yeah, I know it's a hard decision, but please just listen to these people, because that's not easy.
Anyhow, thank you.
Veronica, I just had one. When you say that you're talking about not only during the construction period, you're talking about the maintenance of that and how it affects maintenance and operations, how those affect neighbors that would go beyond adjacent.
Well, if they put their site up, if it's not right next to another big line, they're gonna have to run some line somewhere and a substation to push it on or whatever they've gotta do, and that's gonna affect the neighbors. And eminent domain will end up being used.
Yeah, there are some restrictions within the ordinance that
Well,
say.
that's why the last one I didn't, because they said they could get down the section line, but that's not gonna happen all the time, and this is a big
Right.
ordinance covering the whole county.
All right, thank you. That answered my question. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Oh, Veronica?
No, just, can I just ask?
Sure, go right ahead.
A general question. The issue of eminent domain was discussed. Can somebody comment on why we're talking about that?
Actually, we can't today. Our legal representative isn't here, and he's the only one that I would put that in the lap of. And although it's a nice thing, I'm going to list that for him to be prepared to talk about that, should this come up next time. And I have a feeling we're going to be talking about this next meeting too, Lori.
Okay, so
go ahead.
The issue of eminent domain may or may not be an issue for this project.
It
We don't
may
know,
not
right?
fit this matter. That is correct. I'm not going to try to reach out and give a legal opinion. He's got a whole staff of people he can refer to give him some direction and give us a report.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Is everybody comfortable on the commission with that? That is certainly a question that's come up a couple times. All right. And you've got it, Brittany, that we be prepared to answer that. All right. Lindsay Mader, we get to hear from you again. Thank you, Lindsay. Please introduce yourself, just for the record. We're just going to have you trained here in a little bit.
I probably haunt you in your sleep, don't I? Lindsay Mader, thanks for listening to me a second time today. I can answer a little bit of the eminent domain
Let's
question.
leave it until we make it a whole thing and it gets in the record for you.
Okay.
Who knows? You never know these proceedings. Just to give you an example, one of the reasons I ask for discussion from the audience, because those sort of things have come up in legal courts before and not done well for it. So I'm not going to venture out without heading in the right legal direction, so we try not to get sued and as citizens that don't even work for the county, so to speak. Thank you.
So there was a couple things I wanted to talk about today. I had mentioned that I would bring ideas for the setbacks at this meeting. Before I go over that stuff, can I request equalization Shannon to be at the next meeting to go over taxes?
Sure. We've added it. I believe we had them there for our vacation home rentals. Yeah, we sure can.
It's a pretty complex deal, and the school districts and the fire districts are not getting any additional money because of these projects. So I would like that to be explained to the board before any decisions are made on this ordinance. What I was going to talk about on the setbacks is I would like to keep in the ordinance where it says that you guys are recommending body and the county commission has the final say. What I would like to change on the setbacks is that there is not opportunity for a conditional use permit in an agricultural district. I do believe that industrialized projects should be in industrialized zones. So that is my suggestion to fix this ordinance.
That it?
That's it.
Boy, you're nice to us, to Davey. Questions for Lindsay? Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Doris Laving?
Thank you and good morning. Doris Lowing. I am representing the South Dakota Stock Growers Association, which has been part of this area since the 1800s. And we have strictly and solely promoted property rights for agricultural use. That's what we do. We feed America. And so with our heritage here, how can you not listen to the agricultural people? We battle enough with environment and drought and market prices, but yet our perseverance is here, no matter what we make and how we do it. We need to protect our property rights. So runoff is an extreme measure. You know, if you put in a feedlot, you have to have a lagoon. So with this runoff, if you're in any tributaries that is going to go downstream to someone, you need to protect your people that are not getting the big bucks from these companies. You guys, you know, most of our commissioners and everyone is elected. You're elected by our individuals, not by these companies from other states and other countries. You're listening to one landowner who wants to put a big project on their property. Yes, I understand the need for electricity, but we have a project out there in New Underwood right now. Have you really looked at everything that it has brought into the community? What has it done for your roads? The construction has ruined our roads, and I know, being in Meade County, New Underwood Road is a mess. Of course, that's not in Pennington County, but it's gonna flow over. So we need to protect that, because who's gonna pay for those things? Our taxpayer dollars. Every one of us is, for one person's abuse. We kindly ask that you extend this moratorium, which I found out after I wrote this, that it has been extended. Thank you. And that you do listen and make industrial districts and leave the agricultural be, because you're never going to get this agricultural land back. It's gone. This company I did a little research on, that Infinity Global, was founded in 2019, launching operations out of Italy, India, and Japan. In 2022, they launched a U.S. platform that acquired 400 megawatt portfolio. 400 megawatts. We have to go to the PUC with 100 megawatt. And that's what I would question on Yarrowtech. Are they going to, if they reduce it down to solar, are they going to be at 100 megawatts, which is going to be state controlled, not county commission controlled? So it shows that that they have built in North Carolina, Idaho, California. Well, you see a lot of desert areas. They've built from 3 megawatts to 56 megawatts. Do they have enough knowledge to do a big project here in South Dakota? So let's talk about ownership. Well, they might say they're from Miami. How many funders are coming in from foreign countries? But they're only the contractor. What if we go to the next level of who's the constructors and who is the operators? Who do we know that they're going to bring in from other countries in funding? We don't know the size of this project that's coming up. The evidence that we can do is look at the evidence we have. You have one operating solar project. Let's look at it. How much has gone to the schools? How much has gone to the highways? They said they were going to bring business to New Underwood, did they? No, absolutely not. I'm hearing the fire departments are not getting any benefits. Fire departments and our volunteer fire departments are going to have to attend and go to something that's battery storaged. They don't have the capabilities and the training to control this. What if it gets out of hand? So, as I said, solar projects of 100 megawatts must be permitted through the PUC. Please look at that. Look at their diagrams on the PUC. Make it as stiff as you can for this ordinance that you are creating now. Setbacks, debonding, defunding of the project. What happens if it fails in 10 years? Who's going to decommission it? Make those bonds high, and make it for that landowner who thinks he's reaping all the benefits of these high rental rates. Let's talk about the value of the next door neighbor's land. What is that going to give us? The property value. Let's look at what the property value was at when this landowner and the last two landowners have purchased that land in recent years. What is it worth then? And when these projects are coming on, what is that worth now? It's devaluing and reducing what our land is actually worth as neighboring farmers and ranchers. Where are these panels manufactured at? They're toxic. You heard earlier about the amount of water that needs to go through these. There's your runoff again. There is so many things. Atmospheric circulation. This brings higher drought resistance, more hail. With more hail, you're going to have more destruction. So I just urge you all to consider and to think about the guy who's not reaping the benefits of these high rental rates. And we have one completed, one that are 2 to 3 years out. We need to stop any more. We're reducing our agricultural land too much. Thank you. I stand by for questions.
Chair. So I got 54 pages of ordinance here. Is there a particular page that you don't like that we can really dive into and try to fix it?
I apologize. I was just informed of this, and I have not been able to. I'm working on another project in Meade County, so I will look at it. And I was not under the understanding that we should be going through this page by page. But I can certainly, address some of those
That would certainly help
things.
me, and I'm sure it would help the others as well.
Yes,
We just
yes.
have to know if there's a particular part of this ordinance that giving everybody a bad rub, tell us about it so that we can try to work on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Doris? Thank you, Doris.
Thank you.
Jerry Meter.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Thanks for letting me speak again, second time today. I guess most of my points are going to be fairly similar to the first round, and I think these other people have covered quite a few of them too. But I guess I just ask anybody to, consider the adjacent landowners, I guess, in the devaluation of property, and of course the setbacks is a pretty big deal. I think that one is about 50 feet in the ordinance setback, which doesn't seem like very much to me. I think 25 of that is for a fire barrier, and then another 25. But the one in New Underwood now, I believe, is 100 feet, which is double that one. So, and I guess I'd like to keep these types of projects in industrialized areas rather than on ag land and take that out of production. We seem to be losing quite a few acres of ag producing land or food producing land every year or every minute. And I guess another thing too is a lot of these projects make a lot of money for 2 or 3 people, probably the landowner, the builder of the project, and then whoever owns it after that. And all the neighbors have to kind of deal with all of that, and with all the sight of the solar panels and the traffic and the potential contamination. And I'm a strong believer in private property rights because we own property too. But when it starts affecting the neighbors, I know if I was wanting to put one of these in and all my neighbors protested it, I would just totally forget about it. Money to me is not that important. So I would just drop it and try to be what I would call a good neighbor, hopefully someday. And I guess that's I guess maybe just a little, I know the eminent domain is, to me, it probably may come into play when they want to bring their power out across our land and Seth Shore's land. So I know you don't want to talk about it today, but I believe if we don't want it, eminent domain sure could come into play at that point. So, and I think that's all I have to say for now. And thank you for letting me speak.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you, Jerry, just being able to dial in on one of these and that setback. So
Okay.
I think that's something that we really got to look at.
Okay.
Because,
We'll try to be ready for that eminent domain. I'm interested in it, certainly the commission members, and we'll try to have a little something in writing
Yeah, I understand.
so that you could pick up.
Yeah, we have time, so that's good.
All right. Oh, yeah, we're not going to rush.
No. All right,
You
thank
know me, don't you, Jerry?
I do. I appreciate
All right.
that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Eileen Peterson. Eileen, I know I shoveled these up. You said you'd like to be last, and I read what you submitted, but after I shoveled them up, you ended up the first one that's on all the last ones.
I appreciate you reading what I submitted because
It's lengthy.
I made it in big print though, so I could read it.
Eileen, I think I can help you out. Your particular submission is very, addresses the current ordinance.
The last time I was here, someone made that comment, if it was in order with the ordinance, we could follow better, so I went back home and spent a week and a half doing it.
What I'd like to do is we're going to, and you can accept this how you want to, we're going to start through the ordinance, hopefully today, the members and start discussing, which would mean you'd end up having to come up, we might want to stick you in the front seat. How odd. But because yours is so extensive, I guess I felt like that'd be a nice way to do it along with our discussions, rather than try to have you review it now and then bring it up again as we get to that point. Is that something you could live with?
Sure. I just thought if enough people brought something up, I wouldn't have to, but.
Well, and it
we'll
may
wade through
very
it.
well do that. I've got an awful lot of, I use a highlighter a lot and write with the pen. Go ahead.
How many of you had a chance to read through my 15-page document?
I read it.
Yeah.
And the copy of the ordinance that I have is only 17 pages long, and I've heard people mention something about 50-some pages, and I don't know if what I have is not.
That includes the existing, like, so our
Yes.
staff reports have the existing language and then the proposed language.
This
So
is the
with two-
existing one. I put it in a clip.
Well, I had that at one point, but I,
Well, and yours is pretty extensive. You've got earmarks on them, and you know where your earmarks relate to. See, I don't have that far. But if you're willing to do that, I'd sure, then you could be kind of last. You can comment as we go along, because we're going to talk a little bit about the procedure, and we will stay with that procedure while we go through, which may lead to additional meetings. So I let you know,
we step back and.
if that's all right with you.
It's okay.
I know yours is extensive, and I don't want to restrict you on going through those, because that's exactly what we want.
Well, I just want to make one comment before I.
Sure, go right ahead. It's your floor.
Purpose statement on the ordinance, part of it says is not to set the minimum standards for alternative energy systems. It is also to minimize the impact on neighboring properties while protecting the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. And I think where the big problem here is a disagreement over what minimum standards means. Is a minimum standard what the developer has to reach, or is it the minimum standard that the county, the neighbors, and everyone else will have to live with? They're two different things in my point of view.
Mine's highlighted just like yours. So I highlighted the same thing. And the truth is, Brittany and I have already spoken that is an entirely different statement than started the other ordinance. So it probably, we will be discussing that right off the bat.
Okay,
So that's a perfect example. Thank you.
I'll be back.
All right. We don't want you to go away. Richard Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now,
Members of the commission.
can I ask you a question? Should I be putting, because he wants to speak too, Mr. Harris on at the same time? Or do you want to speak separately?
Mr. Chair, whatever you prefer.
Mr. Harris, are you out there? I think he's there. We're not hearing you. Can you hear us?
Might be muted.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can. Would it be all right if I put the two of you on together, and we'll start out with, because his was the thing, we'll start out with Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Happy to answer any questions that might come up during this conversation.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the commission, thanks for having us here today. I'm Richard Williams with Gunderson Palmer Law Firm. I'm working with Infinity Global on a project that they have proposed, a solar project that they have proposed for the New Underwood area. On the screen with us today is Dale Harris. He's with Infinity Global. You know, I attended the county commission meeting on the 21st too on this, and listening to some of the comments today, I think it might be important for, I'm sure this commission understands this, but maybe for the public to understand sort of where we are in this process in a more global view, taking a step back. Today, in front of this commission, you know, nobody's asking to permit a solar facility at all. What we're dealing here with today is looking at revised ordinances for the potential possibility permitting of a solar facility under specific uses. And I'll get to that further in a second, but whatever this commission does today will go forward to the county commission. And the county commission, as in it's an ordinance, will have 2 more readings and will have additional public input. The county commission will also be able to make additional changes or simply not pass the thing at all. So what we would ask today, so the ask right out of the gate, is that we pass this today in some form, whether that be recommended to the county commission as it is or recommended with conditions, knowing that this procedure of public input will go forward at the county commission level. The second thing I want to talk about is, let's just say the ordinance passes as is. What does the ordinance do? The ordinance doesn't permit solar facilities. It allows for conditional uses in limited areas. And those conditional uses would be allowed under the amended as ag, industrial, and commercial. And so when we're talking about a conditional use, what does that mean? And it was mentioned earlier that we're trying to balance the rights of property owners. And I think that's what a conditional use aims to do. It's restricting your property to use it, but it puts conditions on that property such that it minimizes the impact to the local and community and neighbors. And interestingly about this conditional use process is it's a bit of a deviation from Pennington County's regular process, where a conditional use would come in front of this commission, and the commission would vote yea or nay on it, and that would be the end of the story, subject to appeal. This ordinance lays out a different procedure. So whatever comes in front of this commission can place conditions on it, and whatever would be necessary for a particular applicant. So it was mentioned earlier, there was a stream, or there might be a stream next to this, or there might be this house next to this. That's what the conditional use process does. It takes into account the specific nature of any individual location. And this commission would be able to take a look at that specific application and determine what additional restrictions should be placed in addition to what we have in the ordinance. As noted earlier, the purpose says these are the minimum standards. That doesn't mean, that means what it says. I think that's the minimum standards. And for each application, those standards can be increased or changed, but not lowered, to fit that the particular site that that applicant is looking at. Now, the deviation from the standard process is that once this commission reviews that, it goes for the commission. This commission can approve, deny, or recommend with conditions. There's a next step. That then goes on to the county commission, which is different from the way that conditional uses are generally handled. And the county commission then can make that same review, can take a look at it and approve with conditions, deny it, or really realistically send it back to this commission for additional work. So up to this point, there are several layers of public input, not only for this particular revision, but once it's in place, revisions for the individual applications and the applications of the conditional use criteria to them. So then there is more than that. If the county commission makes a decision for approval, that is, again, that's now subject to appeal to the circuit court under writ of certiorari. And for Infinity Global, who is looking at a 126 megawatts facility, they also have to receive permission from the PUC. The PUC would do siting, construction, and operation. And the PUC is going to be looking at that again to minimize the impacts to the local communities. And again, at the PUC level, you're going to have hearings, you're going to have public comment, you're going to have public input. And so when you get through all that, the amount of public input and review is fairly enormous. So what I would go back to is to say, let's get this out of the commission, move it forward to the county commission, so that we can continue to work on this. If I understand, there's going to be some review of the ordinance today, and there might be additional conditions to be placed on that. But this is not a place where we're permitting an individual facility. It's one step in the process. We'd like to move that forward. And I'd like to address some of the issues that have come up, and I read the public comments that were in the board packet, and I took a look at those and some of them that came up today. And just flipping back through these real quickly, we were talking about setbacks. We have the minimum setbacks in here for any application that's submitted. Of course, those setbacks could be increased to fit the nature, location, and operation of any facility. And we talked about property rights, and of course, the CUP is put in place to address that, to balance that scale. We talked about tax. Now, here's an interesting thing about these solar facilities. I pulled from the Department of Revenue's page a brochure or a PDF that they have on there called Renewable Energy Facility, and it's how this is taxed. And essentially, when we're talking about solar, there's one type of tax that goes on that, and it's a $3 tax multiplied by the nameplate capacity. So if you're talking about 126 megawatts of power, you go ahead and take that times 3, and you end up with $378,000. There's a separate tax in addition to that that's based on production, and the production tax is stated for solar as 0.0009 of that production. And that's another tax on top of that. Now, where does this go? So this goes to the state, 100% of the renewable facility tax from the nameplate stuff goes to the state into the facility tax fund. And then the production tax distribution that we talked about goes 80% to the state and 20% to the renewable facility tax fund. Now you say, well, that goes to the state. Well, what does that mean for the county? Well, at the end of the day, when this comes back out, 50% of that funding 50% of the money that goes into the fund goes to the school districts, 35% goes to the county, and 15% to unorganized townships. And so, in talking with the state today, if there's not an unorganized township, that goes back to the county. So you're looking at a 50-50 split between the school districts and the county for that tax money. And that's on top of the tax that would apply to the property originally. Now, it's different because obviously the property is owned by the landowner and the leased, in most cases, by an energy facility. So when we're talking about two different tax structures. We have in the ordinance, there's a number of things here, and I guess we're going to address them one by one later, so I'm not going to get into them. But I think
right now the proposal is to do it page by page.
Page by page. I think that, well, there's one interesting thing in both the meetings that I've attended, now this one in the county commission, one of the issues was what happens if this entity folds up and, just takes off? What happens with the equipment and whatever's left on there? And of course, there is a bonding provision set forth in this ordinance, and I used to work with the state of South Dakota, and I did work with the DANR doing their bonding stuff. This is a pretty significant bond. It's 100% bond plus 20% of that total bond cost. And it's reviewed every 5 years to make sure that that bond is keeping up with the decommissioning expenses. And of course, that's reviewed by an engineer that has to sign off on that bond amount. And every 5 years, if they're not up to snuff on having it fully bonded plus 20%, they put additional bonding back in. And it's in a surety or other form of security that will be there for the county if need be. So this shouldn't be a case where somebody can pack up and leave the county with the bill or the landowner with the bill. I would also note, and I probably should have mentioned this earlier when we're talking back about the CUP process, is even if a project is permitted, the CUP process isn't the end of the game. This ordinance has continued CUP review, and it's pretty significant, because the way it looks is that at any given time, if there's a complaint or if the board wants to, or if there's a need to review the CUP, it can be a review done of the facility. And that review can be, okay, are they meeting the conditions? Do we need stricter conditions? Or are they in violation such that we need to shut the place down? So it's not like if they were permitted, and so you go through this process, they get permitted, they get a recommendation here, it goes to the county commission, that gets approved, it goes out under the conditions for the CUP, it's continually renewed, and basically whenever need be. So at the end of the day, if I'll be available for comment on specific ones, I'm not going to go into them right now since we're doing that. But if you have any questions for me right now, I can take them or I can sit down, and Dale Harris is on here for any questions you might have too.
Go ahead, Dale.
Rick, I think you did a great job at summarizing up.
You have to introduce yourself just for the record, Dale.
Dale Harris. Thank you guys for the time. I think Rich did a great job at summarizing our request. So here for any questions y'all might have.
All right, very good. Questions for Dale or for Richard? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That concludes the requests that I've had. So now the commission needs to discuss how we want to review the ordinance. And we had a little conversation just amongst ourselves, never as a group, so who'd like to take the lead?
Mr. Chair, at our last commission meeting, Commissioner Drews did mention if this ordinance gets approved, that it's not set in concrete. You know, 6 months later, you find something that needs to be amended, you amend it. So it's not like this is the final amendment. Amendments can be, ordinances can be amended if we find flaws going down the road.
One of the things I wanted to throw in, and so that people understand, and I showed it, but when we review an ordinance like this where it's complete, we've got it, there's no way that you can just highlight or use hieroglyphics or whatever to show us where they're changing and doing things. You've got to go back and forth, so it does take some time to attend to them. One of the things that Richard referred to, the review process, for instance. We have in-house things going on, a review process. As any one of you know, we have CUPs that exist that get reviewed every year, and then let's say 3, 4, 5 years down the road, there isn't a need for every year. Then it's switched to maybe 5, and then some are switched to review upon complaints. So we do follow with them. It's not a set procedure, but that's how the house cleaning they do through that review process. But right now, what I'd like to do is pin down, Mike, it was you that brought up that you thought it went quicker going, rather than by the section, we go by our notes that we've made on our pages by every page, and we allow the audience to participate in that. That's what we did last time. You thought that went a little faster.
Yeah, and it lets everybody have a little skin in the game at that point, yes. I think that's the way to go.
Out of the other commissioners, Maury, you're sitting up there in the Zoom. How do you feel about that?
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Of probably Brittany? Could you tell us the basis for writing this ordinance amendment? I'm sure you've used models from other counties, other states and stuff, just so we understand the background and the process your staff went through to develop this ordinance amendment.
Sure, Brittany Hand, Planning Director. So this was actually a product of a committee that met for several months, pretty much every other Monday. There was information that was brought from other counties, other municipalities, and this was not always necessarily 100% agreed upon, but this is what the committee worked on and brought forward, so the Planning Commission at least had some framework to start with.
And so at this point in time, your staff, you and your staff feel comfortable with this is the best product you're presenting to us based on what you know about other states are doing, other counties are doing?
So this is what the committee had put together. We did work with the state's attorney's office on some of these, and this was, I guess, reasonable as far as what we look at as an ordinance. I wouldn't say it's 100% agreed. The whole committee did not agree on everything in this. ordinance. I know that there's concerns about the land uses in the different zoning districts and the setbacks. Those are two things that were not agreed upon in the county. But this was brought forward, just so the planning commission and the public could have a hearing and discuss it further.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to have that on the record. I know we've talked about that before, but I just wanted to make sure we all understood where this product came from.
Thank you, Lori. Anyone else? Does anybody have any heartburn? Go ahead.
One more.
Justin, we better put you up here right now before we decide how we're gonna go through this.
Thank you very much for having me up here today. Sorry for the interruption earlier. Justin Uhrig. I was one of those members that was on the task force. I had to step back for a while due to some conflicts with my prior occupation and being on that committee or the task force. I just wanted to speak my piece that I am one of those that did not agree with these setbacks as they are presented right now. There are other counties that were brought forward that had more extensive setbacks than what is proposed here. Up to 1,000 foot on some solar projects and 1 to 2 miles on turbine projects away from existing residences. There are others in the room that were on that task force that don't agree with it as well. So I just wanted to make sure that it is presented that this was brought through at the task force level, but there are a number of us that did not agree with what was printed, I guess.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
One of the things, if we do decide, and I see Karen wanted to speak again, if we do decide to go by page, that means we still take everybody out of the audience over everything we're discussing. It's a process, it takes a while, and we try to move along so that we're not here when the snow flies. So, anyway, go ahead, Kristen, please come up and introduce yourself for the record again.
And if possible, Commissioner, I'd like to make a comment as well.
Sure.
Good morning again, Kirsten Mitzel. You asked for specifics, so I took a little time and read through and found a few that I figured I'd bring up. In the original ordinance, so not just this amendment, but it's something I think we can certainly add to the amendment, under page 10, section 7A, zoning district. I recommend that we remove general agriculture, limited agriculture from that wording there. In the proposed amendment, page 41, 8A, under conditional use permit, and let me know if I need to slow down, remove the word agriculture.
Okay.
Page 48, E2, under property owners. I believe that we should change that from a 1 mile radius to 5 miles. And also include a caveat in there if there are any waterways, streams, ponds, wetlands, or any sort of concern with the groundwater table, that those people be notified as well, because that runoff can travel miles.
Okay.
Page 49, F1, under plan.
Ask you something?
Yes,
Is this going to be a long list?
Close to done.
Okay. Because what I'm saying is we're going to go through this page by page, and you're going to have your opportunity to get these in. And if you can't be at the next meeting, all you've got to do is text them, and we review them and include them. Go ahead.
Certainly. F1 under Planning Commission. And I just want to state that I agree with that it should be a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners. That is one of the best parts of this entire amendment. So I will end with that, but I will, I'm sure, interject at other points as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Dale.
Commissioners, I just wanted to note that I'm not sure anybody on the task force was 100% happy with these ordinances. They are fairly restrictive, and they're not ideal for us. And there's a lot of subjectivity that is added into these ordinances that adds a level of unknown for industry. But I don't think any ordinance is going to make 100% of everybody happy. And I know there's a discussion about ag land and the effects that this is going to have on ag land. I don't know if I have the ability to share my screen real quickly. Oh, host has disabled sharing. But I was going to just cite some of the census data in Pennington County and discuss how much ag land is within the county and how it has increased since 2012. From 2012 to 2017, there was a 7% increase. And then from 2017 to 2022, there was a 2% increase, bringing us to a total of about 1.16 million acres of ag land in Pennington County. When we look at overall the amount of land that would be used for solar facilities, it would be no more than 10,000 acres, which is substantially less than 1% of the total ag land. So the amount of ag land is growing faster than what would be replaced by solar facilities. I think it's an important thing to note. And I also do urge some of the community members to look at the safety of solar facilities and the minimal impact that they do have. I'm not going to pretend like there is no issues whatsoever, but in comparison to all other energy generation systems, they are ranked to be the safest, as well as having the least amount of community impact. That's my politicking for today.
Thanks, Dale.
No problem, sir.
What I was going to do was ask, are you guys comfortable if we go ahead and proceed with the page by page, which will start out, as you noted, we're going to hear from Eileen right off the bat on A. So, do you want to proceed that way? I see everybody shaking their head. Laurie, you comfortable with that?
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm just trying to figure out, we're going to listen to a lot of people that have a lot of different opinions and ideas. I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do with those at the end of this meeting. Are we just going to continue, put it back to the planning department and have more committees? Where do we draw the line to prove something? We got to start somewhere. I just don't know that we're going to get anything done today.
I know I'd answer that as the chair. My job is to make sure that we get these things completed and voted on and moved on to the Board of Commissioners. We're volunteer people. We're put here to do legwork for the Board of Commissioners and to review these things. We're not always as attuned, perhaps, and that's a nice way to put it, with the voters. The commissioners decide to review our recommendations and don't necessarily take them to and end up with that product, or they change what we did change to. That's their right. They're the Board of Commissioners. They get elected to represent those people. And I guess our job is to work through these things, not kick them back to planning. I don't know how you guys felt. I read through this. I didn't see anything that they missed the whole area of a thing in regard to planning. I think planning did their job. The committee did their job, whether they were all happy with it or unhappy with it. That's what's on this table right now, is we've got to decide what to send forward. And I think that needs to be done. And as we usually do it, after a complete review, item by item through it, and we're done with it, one of these bigger things.
Okay, well, so far I've heard setbacks. I've heard, I think, 1,000, I've heard 5 miles. So we got to make a decision today what that's going to be.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I propose that we, again, I keep hearing setback numbers. I propose that we focus on looking at setbacks and try to come up with a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners and, maybe not discuss other issues.
Okay. Elaine, you better get up here and comment on that.
Mr. Chair, one more thing.
Go ahead.
Relative to setbacks, I think that could vary with each one of these solar fields. Everyone's going to be different in different proposed locations, and setbacks might have to, as we talked about, trying to get those scales equal. You're going to have, I don't know that you're going to come up with one set number that's going to work for each and every one that may be coming down the pipeline. I think they have to be the merit has to be looked at individual and let the commissioners use their common sense, what they feel is right and what's not right. That's just my 2 bits. We can pick a particular number, but I don't think that's really the way to go.
Okay.
Well, I think
Elaine,
the-
you and I must be more on the same sort of thing. Before Elaine speaks, and I know I've read through what she submits, she spends a lot of time going through and reading these things and trying to make them workable so that they work. Not necessarily agreeing or disagreeing with them. She certainly takes some exceptions to some, the same as anybody would. But to give you an idea, for instance, of what I'm talking about that we don't do if we don't go page by page. We start picking out the hot button issues, and certainly setbacks are a hot button issue on the thing. The noise is going to be a hot button issue, but I can just quote one thing right out of here when you get started on the noise. If you read down all the things that are in the ordinance, I think we need to talk about those because it starts out and it says all proposed utility systems must submit a noise mitigation plan. Well, and it outlines what the specifics of that is. One, are you doing this before you've got a site or anything out there? Or what? When are we doing this? You know, and when does it have to be submitted and to what level? What are we going to hold them responsible for? That sort of thing. Not that all is in there. And you point out things like that in little things. A silly thing is we talk about several places in this ordinance where the word hub is used. We don't even define what the hub is. You know, we just all assume it's the middle of the blade going up because that's what we do. But it's not really said that, and it's based on the height on the thing. Somebody else may have an idea where their hub's at. I don't know. That's all I'm getting at is if we go with what Mr. Commissioner Roskinek's suggesting that we just do the hot button issues and push it forward, I don't think we did our job. That's my opinion.
You go whatever way you want. Let's just get started.
That's what I was trying to do, Ron, before you switch back to.
Let's go.
Okay.
Mike.
Clarification, and I go along with what you say is page by page. Say Eileen comes up with something different on here.
Yes.
And are we going to pass judgment on it at that time? We're going to say, yes, let's change this, or how is this going?
The last time what we did either pass judgment, we had a vote, or we sent it on as advisement. I believe we sent it on as advisement. Yeah, we didn't get you on the mic.
Well, I was just curious because we're going to get a lot of things here, and there's going to have to be some decisions made or put in and made later. I'm not sure how you want to do that.
Either that or we've got to take a report like Eileen's under advisement. Follow me?
Yeah, I do.
So that's what I'm trying to do is set the ground rules to get this thing out of here. So what do you want to do? You want to go through the specifics or have people write up their specifics, send it to us, and we review the hot button issues?
I would just as soon go through page by page.
I think the latter.
You do? You think you want to take the major issues?
Yeah.
Okay.
That we
That's
look
what
through
Ron's
and,
saying.
You know, if she's got a list of stuff that comes up, you know, that's maybe the first hot button issue.
Oh,
right
yeah,
there.
she's going to weigh in on some of the hot button issues in her.
But as far as making a decision right now on it, I wouldn't say that we would want to do that. We don't have till tomorrow to go through all that, but we could at least have those items that are bringing up concerns, review them, and again, talk about it at the next meeting.
Then we better establish which of those, and it shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah.
Ag land, right? This has got to be one of the hot button issues. Ag land involved as a conditional use permit, is that correct? Number 2, setbacks. And setbacks would have to assume whether, no matter what land it's on. We've had noise, is that correct? We've had native land, basically, or grassland, correct? Because there's issues in here where it says you got to put 6 inches of soil down on decommissioning. Is that, we've got to talk about that. do we, some of these areas don't have 6 inches of soil in the first place for decommissioning. Okay? Anything else? Anybody in the audience remember something that's a hot button issue that I haven't got in these 4? Waterways. Drainage. Yep. Yeah, that'll all be in the. Well, they do have to do reports on that in this.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Lori, I was
As
gonna
far as
ask
drainage
Eileen. Go ahead.
As far as drainage goes, I think that that's something that is going to be handled through the state in their permit review. I know it's not DENR anymore because they've merged, but I think that kind of an issue, it will be controlled by the permit issued by the state.
And I think you're correct, but we'll get to that then but it has been an issue where it's of concern, especially in regards to the solar and the panels. Eileen, am I missing any that you've got on your, I know you've got a lot of other detail, go ahead.
A lot of things, but when you start looking at the things you just listed.
We can
here,
certainly
we're
add
kinda-
to this, but we can get started on it like Commissioner Ross did.
We're kind of back where we are with all of these hot buttons. We're covered most of the
Okay.
issues already.
And don't hesitate bringing it up if you see something that we're not discussing, please.
Okay.
All right, first off, the ag land then. Let's just start down the list. That's the list. How does the commission feel about removing that this would not be an allowable CUP in ag land? Is that correct way to state it? Brittany? This would not be an allowable CUP, solar or wind power?
Correct, it would only be allowed in commercial and industrial, but just qualify it because there's utility scale and distributed, so you
Yes,
wanna.
that's a good point. You know what smaller scale and utility scale is what we're talking about. The utility scale has a greater set of requirements to meet the CUP. How's the commission feel on that? Removing that from the ordinance as it's written right now?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Brittany, how long was I'm guessing that committee was active for about a year. So we're going to be here today and changing that, recommending, this is the part I don't understand. I mean, like you said, volunteers. Now, we've got committees. We've had stakeholders from both sides. They've sat there and with their comments and whatnot, after a year, this is where we've come up at. And today, we're going to sit there and change that?
Yeah.
That's the part I don't understand.
Mike?
I agree, we're beating a horse all over again. Yep.
So you'd be for leaving that in the ordinance the way it is?
Well,
I didn't want to go through this.
I think what they're asking us is to prove it as written, and if we do and it don't work, there's an amendment process out there, and that's where we'd probably get involved going. I just don't see at the end of the day that how we can sit there and make a recommendation that doesn't reflect what the committee's been, it took a committee a year to put together in planning and zoning. That's the part I don't understand. Are we that well-versed that we can sit there and make those decisions?
I'll go farther than you. I don't understand why you even want us to read it if you don't want me to go through page by
Well, you
page
certainly
and correct
can.
it and
I'm
straighten
just-
it out. I don't understand that. Either that or we shouldn't be reading it. We should rubber stamp the thing, move it on and say it's beyond our deal with water. You guys as commissioners, and I hate to pick on you, but vacation home rental, I sat through committees. I went through a long history of vacation home rentals, and you threw the whole damn thing out after we got it to you. So you wasted immense amount of time, and people won't ever volunteer for a county committee in the first place, Ron. So I believe we've done well going through these things and trying to separate and straighten out some of the small boogie-boos that exist, but there are big ones. No, I'm not going to suggest we take ag land out of it, but it's a hot button issue, and that's where you seem to be coming from to move this forward. If you want it moved forward today, if we address these, it sounds like nobody wants ag taken out. Let's go on to the next one.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, for example, taking the ag out, what would happen then? Someone would come in for a rezoning on it to do the project then that now fits under a commercial or something like that, to do some island rezoning, which is usually not that happy with.
They would have to rezone, yes, because that would be the only allowable zoning districts that they would be in.
Yeah.
And those types of zoning districts have pretty strict infrastructure requirements.
Couldn't get a variance through the commissioners or anything like that?
You can't get a variance to zoning.
No.
So with ag being out of there, there couldn't be any solar, wind operations?
No, there's still industrial and commercial zoning. It would just have to be in those zoning districts.
But one of those, yeah.
Yes, and I do want to say, Mr. Chair, that the committee did not all agree on those zoning districts
Yeah.
being allowed, so, I mean, it was brought forward.
We never even voted on anything on that.
May I make a comment?
I have to have you, come on up, Lindsay, please. You got to reintroduce yourself for the record.
Lindsay Mater, during that committee, we did not vote on any of that.
Who put that in?
Planning and zoning.
Yeah, it was a consensus. We discussed it. We brought it forward. There was some discussion. We went through it. We were there for a long time. There was other setbacks brought forward. There was other zoning districts, not bringing it in the zoning districts were brought forward. This was a small group of people. There was small, a few public that actually came. The committee moved this forward to this forum, so there was a public forum in which some of these can be discussed. Because there was a lot of concern, again, with the setbacks and again, with the zoning districts that they were allowed in. So the committee, to say it wasn't voted on, Lindsay is correct, it was not voted on or anything, it was just put together to bring something forward for discussion in these public hearings so more people could come in and speak on their concerns. It also gave others on both sides time to bring information forward to this board and to the Board of Commissioners to go through this process.
Since Lindsay was on the committee, can I ask you then, certainly then there was discussions between the DWESs in regards to zoning and certainly versus the UWESs, or same way with the solar end of it?
Yep.
Okay, and when you say you didn't vote on that, was there disparity between the opinions even on those separate levels? In other words, the DWs are certainly not the utility level requirements.
I don't think I guess I can't speak for anyone else, but
No,
as
I'm
myself.
not asking you to, and won't hold you to.
I am not concerned about distributed, systems.
That's what I thought. Okay.
If you want to put it on your house, go ahead. That doesn't really affect your neighbors.
Can I ask you, is that because it's a little more locally motivated?
What do you mean?
In other words, each individual that's going to do it probably ends up the owner and the operator and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and, it's not a large-scale situation. Like I've said many times, the local benefit, they talked about taxes. As that is correct, 50% goes to the state, 50% goes to the county. The 50% that goes to the county and to the school, so say, for example, I have no idea what the numbers are. But the way that the state law is set up is for solar panels in New Underwood, let's say the state gives them $100,000 pre-solar panels. Solar comes in and they have to pay 50,000 of that 100,000. The state yanks away that 50,000, so they're still only getting $100,000. That is a state law. It's not advancing them any. So it's disguised as these great things when it's ultimately a land grab from the federal government. And the county's here to
Farther out
protect
than
us.
we're getting farther out than we need. Yeah, I know. Thank you.
But yeah.
All right. Elaine?
Eileen,
Eileen?
just one point you asked about the distributed stuff. When the task force was created, it was created only for utility scale, so we never discussed anything about distributed within the task force meetings. Only utility scale.
Because but even though it existed in the original, okay.
So it's in there, when we got to something about that, we just jumped over it. We never,
So you're suggesting that some of that just got carried forward because
I
it
assume was
wasn't in
carried
existence?
forward from the
And I
previous
would
one.
think that's possible. So, okay. Thank you. Well, my difficulty with this starts right at the very start. If you look at the statement on the old one, it goes through purpose and everything, you'll find that there's a brand-new statement, just like Eileen pointed out, in the new one, which means there's probably a lot of new things in here, little pitfalls, things that didn't get considered, and that was the only reason by page. We did very well on the last two ordinances we did this way. When we just deal with the hot buttons, if we pass it forward, I think you're gonna end up doing all the house cleaning as a board of commissioner. Or somebody has to.
Well, I just think that we're going to have to apply a lot of common sense going forward, you know. It's not going to be black and white, black and white, black and white. There's going to be some gray, and that gray is going to be where common sense is going to have to come in and prevail.
We usually just submitted them based upon what the testimonies were, and I can't think of a lot of changes we ever made, major changes to ordinances, have we? We've certainly corrected wording or expanded on some regulation. Perhaps setbacks would be a perfect example of something we might have expanded on. Maybe you can weigh in here, Brittany.
I think the only one you spoke of it earlier was the vacation home rental. That one was a complete rewrite direction.
Correct.
That one was one that was different.
That we sent forward. Yeah.
That was completely done differently.
And it gets, we have a lot of people with a lot of opinion in the way of citizens in regard for and against these things. And obviously within the committee, we had that. So I don't know how you I don't know any easy way to get this out of house without going through it.
Mr. Chair, I guess where I'm at is,
okay.
When we wrap up the day, are we going to make a motion to accept or deny this ordinance, or are we going to continue and pass the recommendations on to the commission, pass the recommendations on to...
Today or in 3 weeks? Or a month or whenever?
Well, whenever. I just don't think we're going to get a lot done today, but I'm certainly willing to listen to everybody that's here today and their recommendations.
I had a lot of questions just reading it versus the old one. Eileen had a lot of questions as a citizen and took the time to write them up. I don't know. Weigh in, Mike.
So say, for example, some of us do decide that we don't want the ag in there anymore. You know,
okay.
Who's going to make this
That's a good
decision
example.
to move ahead?
In the past, we sat here and voted on it. Somebody made a motion to change the wording or the recommendation. That's what we did with the other ones we've done. We've done it with any ordinance we review. Or add a condition or add something. Yes, go ahead, Brittany.
I think major changes like that were done by motion.
For what?
Were done by motion.
Yeah.
To make those changes.
So to make sure it was on the record.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be chaos, I think, if we go hot button only. I think we really got to get back and have some order to this thing.
Laurie?
Mr. Chair, can I say something?
I want you to weigh in.
maybe, tell me if I'm not right, but it seems to me like historically, when we looked at ordinance amendments, that we try to correct errors that we see in it. And that's what I recall us doing whenever we have reviewed ordinance amendments in the past. And unless we see like a gross error or something missing that we might want to add or something that should be changed, that's what I recall doing in prior ordinance amendment reviews.
I think you're correct, with the exception of the one I brought up, yeah.
That one, and with the exception of mining, I think there were
Mining.
significant changes that were made to that one during public testimony in the hearing.
Correct. We had 2 public meetings on mining besides our commission meeting. That is true. She's bringing up mining, we also reviewed on a page-by-page, but those were the 2 we did page-by-page. And Lori does have a strong point there. The rest of them, we reviewed and corrected more to do with clerical or oversights, that sort of thing, and either forwarded on with a recommendation that could have been 4-2, whatever the vote was from the commission. Is that correct, what you're saying, Lori?
Yes, because I think at this point in time, if we go through this page by page, I think we are discounting. I think we're not able to do what the task force was able to do, in my opinion.
Okay. And we're doubling up on the load. The same things that we bring up, if we go page by page, will no doubtedly be brought up at the Board of Commissioners, who have the final say. Okay, then we should go through. We're going to limit the number of meetings you're going to attend, Eileen, so if we go that direction. Is that direction you would like to prove? So if you would flip through your pages, in other words, you must have some notes or things that you have that you do feel should be corrected per housekeeping before we talk about the ordinance in entirety. Is that correct?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
No, I do not have any specific things
Okay.
that I looked at that thought were an error or an omission. And so I would propose that we just accept the ordinance amendment as proposed by the task force so that it gets moved on to the Board of Commissioners for them to vote on.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. To move, it'd be Section 317, Alternative Energy Systems, the proposed new text. Sex. Jeez. Sorry, guys. Is that a good way to state it for you? The
I
proposed
think
new
you
text.
did a good job, thank you.
All right. Now, we can open it up for discussion. Now, come on. Eileen, just for you. I know. Here, I asked you, let's let Eileen go first this time. You're the one that looked at the most of this. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you can certainly do that, but I'll be at the county commissioners meeting. I don't know if they're gonna limit me to 3 minutes, but I'll have a lot of speaker request forms in. It's the product was not approved by a lot of people on that task force. I was another one of them. I objected to many things that happened, and they still happen, and this came forward.
Okay.
We've got to the point with that, I think, where we kind of thought we were at the point of beating the dead horse again. Our concerns are not going to happen there. They were going to have to happen later, which we thought was going to be here. But if it needs to be with the county commissioners.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So what I've heard a couple, let's go 5 mile setback, that's totally unrealistic to me. And what do I do with that? You take the egg out of this language, you basically gutted the ordinance.
Yeah.
That's not a typo, that is a major change, and I'm not here today to make that decision. I'm trying to sit there, and is there something that we can really, that we, on this level, we can make a difference and suggest to the commission, but right now, I just don't feel comfortable taking a year study and task force, and I don't know enough. I've read through this. I don't know enough that I can make decisions like that today.
Do you have a problem with us passing this on through to the Board of Commissioners? And then you would bring all
Not
this
as long
up
as
at
they're
that
gonna
time?
let us do the same thing. I'll be there with my 15 pages.
And that's, I guess that's the point, Mr. Chair. If that's how it is, why do it now if it's going to be done later?
All right. Now, they will need to make sure the requirements are out there to have the write-ups in advance. It's different than here. It has to be, they have a rule system about what's going to be presented being given to them in advance.
Oh, the 48 hours?
Yes, the 48 hours. Just so everyone knows, there is a rule with the Board of Commissioners. In other words, you can't come in at the last minute, raise your hand, come up with a whole new set of documents. That's not a part of their, what would I call it, normal house operation.
Mr. Chair, at the last commission meeting, and I'm really, trying to weigh these property rights, but there was a suggestion that the one-year moratorium be a perpetual moratorium. Now, where are the property rights with that kind of mindset? This is what I'm dealing with. I just want to sit there and try to be fair to both sides.
Well, I'd like to see this done before the end of the year. Done. I need some surgery and I can't keep putting it off because I come
But
into
sooner or
these
later, we're
meetings.
going to approve an ordinance.
Yeah.
And not everybody's going to like it. So I
No,
think
there's no
we
chance
just
of
have to
that.
accept that fact.
Yeah, no chance of any ordinance being completely happy with everybody.
Totally understand.
Thank you, Eileen. I've got one more.
Good afternoon now.
Now, go ahead.
Kirsten Mitzel again. So you did bring up a great point that I'd love to see done. I'd love to see some public meetings. New Underwood has a great little community hall. I bet they'd even let you do it for free. And I'd love to see them in the evening because 9 a.m. on a Monday or a Tuesday is really hard for a lot of people. So, we see everyone here today, with the exception of the attorney for Yarrowtech and, the companies involved, is opposed to this. So I think it would be a fair statement to say that we should be taking a look at this and doing it seriously. Another thing, with all due respect, but you are our planning commission. So I would like your input. That is why you're here. You guys are helping us to develop the planning and zoning rules and regulations for our county. So I think your input is absolutely valuable in this, and I do think it is something we should be going through line by line. And, if one of you is uncomfortable with that, that's fine. But, you guys have the experience in planning. And that's what we're trying to do is plan for this as best as we can, because we know that they have more money, more resources, and we're just trying to fight for our rights too. So that's what I would like to say. And I'd love to see some public meetings before we just pass this buck on to the county commission level.
Thank you, Kristen.
Chairman, if I may?
Sure.
Oh, that's me.
Sure.
Sorry. This was advertised for another planning commission meeting on November 10th. So if the planning commission would like to entertain other information to make recommendations, there is another meeting advertised for the 10th for that before moving it on. So I just wanted the planning commission to be aware of that.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
and if that's the route we go, I would encourage this group to send emails to each one of the planning commission members so that they can start a file, look at these individually, and be a little bit more prepared for the next meeting.
Mike, you look like you had something to say there. I read
This
you
is
fairly
getting
well, Mike.
Very confusing at this point. We need to figure out some ground rules here, what we actually want to do. Do we want to do the hot button issues, get this all done, and pass it on? Then the ultimate final thing is done by the Board of Commissioners?
Can I
are we spinning
comment
our
on your
wheels
hot button
on that?
issues? If we do hot button issues, there's no way but then other related small little, what would you call it, housekeeping items that are in a particular section aren't going to relate to it. So that's what I worry about. It's going to get turned loose to the specific meat of the matter anyway, whether it's just the hot button issue. Certainly we get a general direction. Moving it along, we might be able to help the citizens. At least it's only going to get pounded out one more time, not two more times. As far as us reviewing it, that's certainly, I read the things. I guess if I've got anything to say or get heartburn over it, then I better show up to the meeting too. But then I'm going to represent myself. I'm not going to represent the planning commission.
So we got a motion on the floor, correct?
Right. Move this along.
Mr. Chair,
Yes. Come on up, Jerry. Yeah. That's what we're trying to decide, which way on this motion. And the motion on the floor right now is either move it along today, or we've discussed, there is one more meeting that has been published we could have, and that we could deal with any specifics that would relate to not moving it along to that.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess I would just like to say that, like Kirsten said, if we could have some more public meetings in the evenings, because it's hard for people to get here this time of day. A lot of people are at work. But going back to last year when we were first starting to push back on these large utility scale sites, we had, a lot of times we'd have 60 or 70 people that came in here to, like on a meeting like today. I think we're kind of wearing them out. They're just getting tired of going to meetings. So it's not that their opinions have changed. They just don't have the time to put in to come in here. And then we had several hundred, like 400 or 500 signatures on petitions opposing this. And all these projects that are proposed are going in our backyard, in our area. People that live in town in Rapid City or, other parts like Hill City, wherever, they can vote for it, and it doesn't really affect them. We have to deal with this daily out at New Underwood, the one that's already there, and the traffic and the site. I guess it just seems almost unfortunate that we don't have a little more to say about it where we live at, because we're the ones that are mostly affected by it. I guess that's all I have to say at this time.
Remember Williams and Ree, the group?
Yeah.
Comedians?
I do.
And we are all the same.
We are all the same.
And
Yeah.
that's what, you bring up a good point. There is a great deal of citizenry in the incorporated areas versus the ag areas, but they're all involved. They're in Pennington County.
Yeah, I understand it. I guess it affects them. They know about it, they're aware of it, but they don't have to see it every day and deal with it every day. And then, like I pointed out earlier, if the decommissioning doesn't have enough teeth in it to get them to clean it up, we're the ones that have to do it, or have to deal with the waste blowing onto our properties and all that. So I don't know, it's just, I guess you can tell I'm a rancher at heart, and I love the land, and I just like to keep it like it is too. So that's part of my reasoning on it, but.
So to summarize, you are favoring some public meetings, but even if you don't get that, a little greater depth of the wording of what we have in front of us is what you're saying, rather than passing it on today?
Pass it on like it is today.
Yeah, that's the vote right now.
Yeah, I guess, I can understand your concern, not knowing, we'd have to do an awful lot of research to really decide if you wanted to change a lot of those items on there. And that's hard work. I went to several of those task force meetings, and there was a lot of contention there. And I guess it's a hard thing to say. I think maybe like Kirsten said, maybe have some public meetings and go over some of those again would be a good idea to, don't like to keep kicking the can down the road, but we may have to get more people involved to get a stronger feel for how people truly feel out there.
I don't want to imply that the Board of Commissioners certainly has the right to call public meetings as well. Thank you for your input.
Mr. Chair, so, Jerry?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I would like to think that this ordinance is put together with our county reaching out to other counties, other states possibly, and really seeing what the industry is doing in other counties and other states.
Yeah.
And trust me, I understand. I've raised in real estate for 30 years. I understand property rights.
Yeah.
And if the neighbors of the solar field in New Underwood, if they tried to hire an appraiser and tell that appraiser to come up with a definitive number that their land decrease in value, I think it'd really be hard to do. It'd be very subjective.
Yes.
You have to reach out to the market to get that kind of evidence, and I don't know that that evidence exists. But I would like to think that this ordinance, the setbacks, if I ask Brittany, where did we finally end up with that setback? I'm assuming there's some market evidence out there that supports that. And I would like to think that's the basic guts of this, is that we've looked at what other areas, other counties, other states are doing, and if somebody called us to the table, we could sit there and support that by that evidence. Am I correct, Brittany?
Industry was also at the meetings, and there was some common ground, I guess. There was really large setbacks, there were some shorter setbacks, and I think this is kind of somewhere where the industry felt that we're sitting at the table, that were doable or achievable from a utility perspective. One thing I'd just like to note about the ordinance is the standards are minimums. They are. There, you can have greater ones in your conditions. But when the public or, planning staff or the industry look at what they want to come do, they need to have some basic requirements so they know what the expectation is. And I think that's like what staff, that's what we need to understand is what that expectation is. So if there is public that asks, that's what the expectation is. If there's industry that asks, that's what the expectation is. So I think wherever the commission lands, just have that understanding that that's important from those criteria, and objective criteria is always better. So yes, you can condition things in certain situations, but having justification for it, but we do need to have those basic criteria in place that are objective.
So if these are minimal and somebody, an applicant went in front of us and they wanted something, we could say, no, based on the merits of your application, we think that setback's going to have to be a lot more than what is found in our ordinance. Is that?
It is, but there would have to be some justification and some reasoning that our ordinance allows that.
Okay.
May I add?
Go ahead, Jerry.
I have done some reading on a lot of these county ordinances. Some ordinances, I think there's 16 states in the United States with about 400 counties that have completely banned any of this kind of development. And I know, of course, that's what I'd prefer, but I know we're not going to get that. But if we can at least restrict it so it's tolerable and acceptable to the local community, I guess we'll have to live with that, I suppose, so.
All right, before we can see if we can get a vote on this, all I want to explain is when I look at these things, I look at them at a spectrum of thought. We got a left, we got a right, for lack of a better term. And the broader we can fill that spectrum of thought with what we put here, the better it'll work. So that's all I'm thinking, and when I pursue these and I look at them, I don't look at them whether they make me happy, unhappy, I like them or don't like them. There's people in that spectrum of thought that don't have my spectrum of thought. I fit in there somewhere, but there's a whole group of us. So that's what I'm looking at, and it's time we get addressed to the issue. Anything else, Jerry?
No, I guess I'd just like to push for more public input, public meetings, I guess, if we can get it, so.
Thank you. Thank you
very
for, all of you, thank you for your patience in coming here. Anybody else want to jump on the bandwagon before me? And it's time to get a vote?
I'd just say, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
We're predominantly an audience of not really excited about it. But now at the last meeting, we did have some ranchers that say,
Yes.
want this for some supplemental income. I think, and we all come from different points of views as far as whether we like solar or not. But I think that we need to pass this on this way. The commission is going to be more of the power that can say and fight over, is it going to be no egg land? Is it going to be in commercial? Those types of things. And otherwise, again, there's going to need to be multiple public hearings, I think, that will go on for hours.
And I did want to point out that those folks that did support getting this moving forward as it was, did indicate that they had a horse in the race, so to speak. And I want to be fair to them. They were outspoken and said that they were involved with people that were looking at working under this ordinance. So, any other discussion? Hearing none, it's time to vote. I think we better do a roll call on this one because I think we won't meet the requirements of the meeting with you on Zoom. Jerry, see, I'm going to suggest a roll call. Is that in agreement with the members?
Lori?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Charlie?
Nay. Go ahead, Jerry.
Oh, and so it passes
5-1.
5-1.
Yeah, and that's enough to pass it. That is enough to pass it. It will be moving on to the scheduled, and we won't hear anything about it for about 30 days for their schedule.
We'll have to look at how the advertising is, because this was advertised for another planning commission meeting. So I'll have to speak with Tyler. It might be on the agenda, but it won't be. Or we'll have to advertise, I believe. Jerry, is that correct? For the Board of Commissioners meeting?
The one for the 4th, that one's already been advertised.
But will be on the agenda for the 4th.
So, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So Brittany, now that we've passed that approval of the ordinance as written, if we get enough, if the commission gets enough information that we don't feel something is right that we approve today, the commission can sit there and implement an amendment to that ordinance. So it's not like we're falling upon deaf ears.
They can, you as a commission can make motions to make changes, just like the planning commission could.
I just don't want these people to feel they came here for nothing today, because I'll certainly listen going forward. If there's something that we approve today that isn't going to work, I'll listen to it.
I definitely, and I'll second that. You need to get in writing to a specific commissioner or that represents you or all the commissioners. You can send it to the planning department. They will distribute it, especially regarding some new things that you brought up here, public meetings. The ag hasn't really been discussed until this meeting, removing it as a conditional use in ag. Those sort of things need to be directed. Those are new things that have come up, even though this is moving forward. To anybody that's ready to make applications under this and needs this done, you should do the same. Anything that you feel, you've heard the new conversations, you need to present those issues to the Board of Commissioners. I wouldn't shotgun them. I'd be specific, and Ron needs the specific. There's only 5 of them. It's not like you're sending out a lot of letters. Any other comments, Ron?
But I also would say that if you feel that something's got to be different, we need to have some supporting documentation with that. It just can't be, this is what I want. This is what I want, and this is the reason, and here's the market, or here's the evidence that supports my request, so that we can sit there and make informed decisions based on that information.
Yes, Eileen, come on up. Boy, we're tough on you.
Some of you said you read through my stuff. I tried to put in there justifications, background, supporting documentation. Is what I've done here going to be what you said you want to see? I mean, I never said I don't like that setback, change it. I tried to document everything I said, but is this adequate for the county commissioners? Should I beef it up some more? Do I ground them in paper? What do I do?
Well, I just make sure that all 5 commissioners get that, and it probably wouldn't hurt to send it to me again.
Well, I only have one email address, but I'm kind of learning to dig around the new website, so I could probably find them. But I think if I send it to planning and ask them to send it to all the county commissioners, that would happen.
Yes, anything that gets sent to our office, I get it to Jordan, and Jordan disperses it to the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
So.
And the sooner the people do that, the better.
And I do appreciate the research that you did.
This
I
thing
know
has
that you- I
owned
know
my
you
life
folks
for
put
the
a lot of
last
time into
18
this.
months. This has
Yeah.
owned my life, and I'm ready to move on to some other issues. I have no land that's involved in this whatsoever. But I do think there are probably 3 county commissioner districts that do have land that are involved with it. It is not just people at New Underwood, like, I think I heard that last county commissioner meeting. People said, we gotta address people in New Underwood. Well, it's not just New Underwood.
Well,
There are people sniffing around going south out of Rapid City too. So with whoever's in that commission district needs to be aware that people are looking there. It's not just New
We
Underwood.
did have 2 planning commissioners, 2, John and Matt, that were sat on the committee, just for the
So-
public record.
Everybody, more people in the county need to be concerned than probably are at this point. But
You know, and we did approve a one-year extension to the moratorium, so I mean, it's not like this is a runaway. I think there's some control with it.
well, I know the county commissioners were quite clear they didn't want to necessarily see it go for a year, so
No, I think we just got to do it until we get something that's equitable between both parties. I do not agree with the perpetual moratorium. I think that's very one-sided,
yeah.
you know. You know,
I'm sorry we had to even do it for 1 year.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you for getting up and down out of that chair so many times.
Well, I rolled a couple ribs this morning, so I don't have to get moved.
Oh, I can believe it.
Next county commissioner meeting is on the 4th. Is that going to be at the new building?
No, it's here.
It will be here, even though they're moving the day before.
The next county commission meeting will be in this, and the next planning commission will be here.
Okay,
So the county commission meeting will not be in the new building till November 18th.
November 18th.
So what's the date for the meeting for the county commission for this ordinance?
It was advertised for November 4th.
That's next.
All right. Any other questions that I can help with? I thank all you guys for your input. I really do. And I'm sure all the rest of the commissioners do too. Appreciate it. Takes time to come here and bend our ear. Thank you. We're gonna move on then. The item number 18 isn't necessary. We're on to item number 19.
Item number 19 is the county board report. The Board of Commissioners concurred with the Planning Commission's recommendations from the October 14th meeting.
Questions for Brittany on that? Items from the public. Anybody else want to beat us up a little? Nope. Items from the staff? Nothing. Items from the membership?
Mr. Commissioner,
Yes.
I'll need to Zoom the next meeting too, which is November 10th.
Okay.
Then I'll be back.
Very good. Lori on Zoom, next meeting. Please, and I realize John's not here, but I bug him all the time. Anytime you are going to be absent, excuse me, sooner you can get it to Jerry, the better, just so that it's part of the record. We do try to keep track of the absences of the planning commissioners. And I think our thing says approved and not approved. I don't think we go through a real approval process, especially if we do them in advance. We expect people to have their own decision about approving whether they need to be here or not. And if you do need to be here and you need to leave early, we've done that through the years too. Just let the chair know that you're leaving at 11:30, and that's certainly within order. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Good. Moved second to adjourn the commission. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned for October 27th.
Different thing with the board coming up after that.
Good job.